No, man. First concert ever.
Yeah, straight up.
Okay, so your first concert ever was Biggie in Connecticut?
Biggie Smalls in the Junior Mafia at Central Connecticut State University.
Tom's first concert, according to Adam, was Mozart, but you said no.
No. Mozart had been dead for 4.5 years. Okay. It was a Blue Oyster Cult at New Haven Coliseum.
Rob, first concert.
We need more cowbell, Tom.
Bare Naked Ladies at the Trump Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Wow. And my first concert was, you ready? Andy, August 17, Dar Palace. Persian concert. If you're Armenian or Persian, you know. If you're not, forget about it.
Where was it?
Andy, the one and only, he was like he is the rock star. If you wanted to go to his concert, it was killer. Anyways, don't worry about it.
I like Rob's Bare Naked Ladies.
Trust me, you would love Andy's more.
It's been 1 week.
That's exactly the one. Anyways, okay. Hey, it's good to be with you guys here. We got a bunch of crazy stories going on as usual. We got Andrew Schulz calls out Ben Shapiro. What was that all about? I mean, have some respect, Andrew. I thought about when I saw it, I'm like, dude, what happened to the level of respect?
Wow, I love it.
He went off, and we'll show the reaction to it. Firefighters were asked to remove the American flag in New York, which is kind of wild. We'll talk about that as well. There's a study that came out talking about a lot of these trans trends. Most kids grow out of the desire of sex change. A study suggests. Oh, interesting. Maybe some of those parents that got puberty blockers for their kids and ruined their lives can ask for a refund. Oh, you can't get a refund.
No.
So maybe you should wait till like your friend who did it at 25 years old, and he could do that at 25 years old.
I don't know about my friend.
No, your good friend, close friend.
Very good friend.
My girlfriend. I interviewed
very good friend.
Yeah, once you detach,
it's hard to...
It's
done.
Your girlfriend, Frank.
Don't go full. Don't go full.
Here we go. Guys, voters unsure if Joe Biden will survive a second term. It's breaking news, so you know.
Some info on
New York judge says fire department New York booing Letitia James pro-Trump chant is not about politics, has to do with race.
Bum, bum, bum.
Tulsi Gabbard claims she rejected the offer to be RFK's VP. Didn't work out.
Wow.
And she'll be on the podcast in a live.
What's the date on that, by the way?
April 20. What is the date, Rob? April 20 something, right? April 20. But
is
anyway,
that sold out yet?
Maybe we'll ask that. I think General's the only thing that's left.
Cool.
Everything else
Rob,
is sold out.
put up those dates if you can.
Israel kills aid workers in unintended strike in Gaza. White House outrage. We'll talk about that. I think even Rogan said something about this a couple days ago about genocide, and maybe we'll even play that clip. Trump leads Biden in 6 out of 7 swing states. ESPN star Stephen A. Smith fires back at Hillary Clinton over remarks about voters. Last thing you need to do. Okay, we'll see what he's going to say about that. We'll cover that one as well. Migrant influencer, if you remember this guy, being investigated on federal gun charges. Most say Biden likable, but they see Trump as a strong leader. Survey says this is from The Hill. Illegal immigrant deported 7 times, arrested for murder, authorities say. Daily Caller. Denver, this story, guys, maybe the best story of the day. Okay, I can't wait to go to town for this one. Denver officials seen telling new migrants to leave, go to New York because they give you more, and Chicago gives you more.
Is that real?
Can you imagine, like, blue cities are saying, look, we don't offer that many entitlement programs. Go to Chicago, go to New York. They give more. We're the wrong place for you. Leave our city.
Yeah, those blue states aren't very unified.
Yeah, that makes sense a lot. Supreme Court approval rating increases after it blocked Colorado from kicking Trump off the ballot. Good for you guys. NATO plans. Guys, listen to this story. You ever bought a life insurance policy in case something happens to you? Your wife is protected, your kids are protected, your husband's protected. Here's what Zelensky wants. He wants a $100 billion policy. In other words, NATO plans $100 billion Trump-proof fund for Ukraine, meaning say Trump gets in and then Zelensky wants more money. Trump can't say no because NATO's already approved it and we have to pay for it, right? What a great strategist. It's called an irrevocable life insurance trust. You know what an irrevocable life ILIT means? You're married. You're married. I'll talk about it on the podcast.
Okay.
But that's kind of what Zelensky is doing. Yeah.
When I think of estate planning, fiduciary responsibility, I think of Vinny.
Did you say a douche? Did you call me a douche?
A douche bag.
Hey, what am I, an asshole?
All right. Hey, McDonald's menu prices have increased over 100% the last decade. What's important to ask is the question Tom asked. Has people's incomes increased 100% the last decade? We'll check with that, Rob, if you can even pull up the number from 2023 to 2013 and see what it looks like. Powell says, ready? Fed needs more inflation evidence before cutting interest rates. And Mets owner, Steve Cohen, billionaire, cast doubt on Fed's ability to get to the 2% inflation target. That's concerning.
They're both right.
Disney's Bob Iger's going through a few different things. He defeats shareholder Nelson Peltz, ending the power struggle. But at the same time, he also came out and said, woke Disney is over. But it may not silence his critics. We'll talk about that. Seattle closes gifted and talented schools due to racial inequality. Interesting. Renting is cheaper than buying a starter home in top 50 U.S. metro areas. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, furious, calls for policy changes after LSU women's basketball misses national anthem. And you have to hear what this man said. It's unbelievable. Sage Steele, former ESPN host, says her Biden interview was entirely scripted by network execs. Every single question was scripted. LA's luxury house sales plummet 70% amid mansion tax launch. Biden directs NASA. You ready for this one, guys? I mean, we got all this stuff going on. Biden wants NASA to come up with a time zone for the moon. So that means when we get there, we're on time.
Well, you wouldn't want to be on the moon and call mom and she's asleep.
This is not a Babylon Bee story. FYI, the Onion is for sale. Babylon Bee is putting the Onion out of business.
Wow.
The Onion is for sale due to Babylon Bee. Diddy's sons hired John Gotti and El Chapo's former attorney. Now, why would you hire the same attorney as a mobster?
Could I take a guess? Is it a RICO? Because RICO's involved?
It's a RICO case.
Weird.
And then what else we got? I got a couple other things on here that we'll get to as well. We got a couple videos that we'll get into as well. Let me see what I have. Elon Musk says there's a 20% chance AI destroys humanity, but we should do it anyways. And BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says 65. Retirement age is too low. Here's what experts say. We'll cover that as well. Now, let's talk about the first story. First story I want to get into is I'd like to start with a business story, Tom. So if it's a business story, why don't we start off with inflation? Here we go. Go to page 12. Vinny, if you can go to 12, I'm coming to you first.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Powell says Fed needs more inflation evidence before cutting interest rates. Powell lauded recent declines in inflation, but said the Fed's job is not yet done, and that policymakers will carefully assess the economic picture before moving to reduce rates. On inflation, it is too soon to say whether the recent readings represent more than just a bump, Powell said. We do not expect that it will be appropriate to lower our policy rate until we have greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down 2%. Policymakers have raised interest rates sharply over the past 2 years, approving 11 rate increases in the hopes of crushing inflation and cooling the economy. In the span of just 16 months, interest rates have surged from 0 to above 5%, the fastest pace of tightening since 1980s. And this is what Mets owner Steve Cohen said. The Fed thinks it eventually going to come down to 2% inflation. I think that's going to be very, very hard. The Point72 asset manager, founder, and CEO cited underemployment in the U.S. as the reason inflation has remained stubbornly high, arguing a lack of workers could create upward pressure on inflation if economic growth remains strong. If growth is too fast, then you start getting constraints on labor and wages go up. And that may be a problem. We're in one of these problems where I don't think many people know exactly what is going to happen. Tom.
Wow, there's a lot here. Well, first of all, you have a billionaire who is running. Remember, he's not a billionaire sitting around doing nothing. He's a rich guy with a sports team. No, he's also, a finance expert. And he's saying, hey, look, the current economy in the United States, getting inflation all the way down to 2%. Now, remember, that may sound good, but it means that prices are still going up. And if you look back at the last 3 years and you go, we did it where we looked at, say, a box of cereal that was $3. That box of cereal right now is 33% up over 3.5, 4 years. It's almost $4 and it's permanently up. It's not going down. Every time you go in to buy that box of cereal, it's $4. And Cohen is saying it's going to be really hard to get that inflation to stay down around the 2% raise. And what Powell has said, before we cut rates, I need to get the inflation down there because he's trying to keep inflation under control. So Powell is trying to keep the rate of continual increase. Remember, when inflation goes down, doesn't mean prices go down. It just means they're going up slower. And Powell wants the prices to go up slower so that your wages you can get a raise every year, hopefully, and your wages can catch up so that if you get a 3% wage raise and inflation is only 2%, that maybe there's a prayer of the American worker catching up. And the rate cuts this year, right now, PBD, the 30-year mortgage, right around 6.75, 7.125, depending on your credit score. So it's staying there. And the rate cuts that we're looking at this year are only going to take those interest rates down to like 5.75 to 6%. So, and by the way, historically, a 5.5 to 6% mortgage historically is a good, reasonable mortgage when you look at it on a historical basis. So what it says is that the economy still needs help to calm down a little bit, and that prices are still going up, and the Fed and billionaires who are finance experts are saying so. And so that's what's going on.
And by the way, you mentioned cereal and that box of cereal. Remember Gary Pilnick, the CEO of Kellogg, said start eating
cereal for dinner.
I've been eating it for dinner. And listen, I've saved a crap load of money. I have high blood pressure now, and I have a borderline diabetes, but it has been
you're
killing.
Saving money,
Adam, save that money.
Save that money.
I might have a heart attack on the podcast, but I've been killing it.
You may get a leg amputated, but guess what?
Tom, bank accounts.
Cornflakes taste good when you're watching.
And my bank account's swollen, just like my leg.
And by the way, before I come to you, Adam, I want to read this as well, so it kind of goes together. McDonald's menu prices have increased by over 100% during the last decade. McDonald's menu by 100% past ticket, outpacing U.S. inflation rates more than threefold, with complaints soaring over high cost, including $18 Big Mac meals in Connecticut, $7.29 for an egg muffin, and $5.69 for hash browns. Finance Buzz's study revealed McDonald's as the worst offender, tripling the inflation rate, while other chains like Popeyes, Taco Bell, Chipotle, and Jimmy John's also hiked prices at more than double the inflation rate. Subway and Starbucks, however, maintained prices relatively in line with inflation. Interesting to know, the study, based on data from multiple sources and cross-references with the official website, highlighted specific increases, like the quarter pounder with cheese meal jumping from $5.39 in 2014 to $11.99 today. A 10-piece McNugget meal skyrocketing from $5.99 to $10.99, while McDonald's CEO acknowledged inflation's impact, indicating rising menu prices. Adam.
PBD, it's been so long since you had to eat at McDonald's, you forgot what a McNugget is. You struggled.
Good for it. But I have kids, so they like McDonald's.
Yeah, this is sort of indicative of what's going on now. But from a macro perspective, the U.S. economy, the number one story in Wall Street Journal, if you go to that right now, they posed the question, what's wrong with the U.S. economy? And the answer is nothing. It's you. And it's all about perception is reality. And yes, inflation has been a problem. Yes, CPI, Consumer Price Index, has been a problem. Yes, soaring costs have been a problem, but it's actually been solved, but nobody's talking about it. So Rob, you have this? Yeah, here it is. Wall Street Journal, number one story today. What's wrong with the economy? Not the data, it's you. Every year since I've been doing money content for the last decade, 2/3 of the American economy is living paycheck to paycheck. It hasn't changed. People's spending decisions, people's saving decisions have not improved. It is what it is. But here's the problem. And it sort of like juxtaposes how brilliant of a marketer Trump is versus Biden. If Trump had the economy and the numbers that we have in America today, he'd be shouting from the rooftops how great the economy is. But Biden's talking about shrinkflation and Bidenomics.
And the moon.
He just, when Trump was in office, when unemployment was low, inflation was low, the stock market was soaring, he would every day look at the market. All the blacks have the jobs, the Asians, the Hispanic, they love me. Why isn't Biden talking about this, you old fool? Say how good the numbers are. They asked the average American, has inflation moved in the right or wrong direction this year. 74% said it moved in the wrong direction. Wrong. It's gone down from 6% to 3.3%. People still think that we're living in the COVID inflation hangover.
No, that's not it, though. But they're feeling it in a different way. So what you're saying is, for example, somebody can turn around and say, but Adam, look at this. Biden is the president for the rich. What do you mean? Because the wealth of the top 1% just hit $44 trillion, highest ever, CNBC. So then I could say, under Biden, the rich keep getting richer, the poor keep getting poorer. What kind of a president is he? Isn't he supposed to be, so he's just helping the rich. He's just helping the Wall Street guys get richer. There's a difference between the economy being great for wealthy guys who have money and destroying middle America. Those are two different things. The average person saying that about the inflation, not the rich guy that's got the money. He's not feeling it.
Yeah, well, look, the shrinking middle class is not a Biden problem. It's been pervasive in the United States for the last 50 years. Not that I'm advocating for Bidenomics, but his whole premise with Bidenomics is the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. The exact opposite of what Reagan was doing with trickle-down economics. But what I'm going is to the mindset of the average person. The average person, forget about whether you like Trump, hate Trump, like Biden, forget about Biden. The reality is the data shows inflation has gone down. It's been cut in half. The U.S. has rebounded better than any major economy in the world. Biden doesn't talk about it. Horrible marketer. They asked the average person, has your investments gone in the right or wrong direction in the last 12 months? 47% said the wrong direction. Newsflash, the S&P 500 was up 24% last year. The point is this, and you can go to the stats about states versus the U.S. economy, and this is what it is. No, I sent you a picture of it. We talked about the swing states. The 7 swing states. You ready? Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. They asked the average person, the average citizen, how is the economy for you better or worse in your state? Rob, punch in. Every single state said 10 to 25% better. But when they asked about the overall U.S. economy, they said 25% worse. The point that I'm getting at is people know in their states, in their homes, it's actually fine. But from a macro perspective, because Joe Biden is such a weak, ineffective, and feckless leader, that's the symbolism of why they're like, the economy sucks, it's horrible, but the numbers actually don't show that.
And going back to the origination of the story, what was it? That McDonald's prices have surged 100% in 10 years. I think we're glossing over the fact that that's a blessing in disguise. That food is actually poison. So guess what? Go buy organic shit. Go shopping good. Good. Let them charge triple. Go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, and you can get the same amount of food for 1,000 times more healthier than what the hell they're putting in a chicken McNugget.
I'll tell you, it's not that Biden has a marketing problem. It's that he's an economic idiot, and his policies haven't improved things for the American middle class. I'm married to a teacher, and I have great visibility over the last 10 years to teacher pay. There's no annual bonus if you're a teacher, benefits program, the erosion that happens to your health care insurance of the percent they pay versus you pay, despite, union negotiations or stuff. Although the BizDoc Babe has taught at private schools, there still is erosion of benefits. And you take a look at that, and then I look at a teacher with a child, and I look at, you're right, Vinny, maybe you shouldn't be, eating highly sugared cereal, but that cereal's gone from $3 to $4, and the stuff in the store has gone up. It has gone up. It's not a marketing problem. It is a look at my wallet and there's nothing there product, and I'm trying to raise a family problem. That's what's going on. And you can say, oh, this has been going on for decades, what's happening. Well, guess what? Every president has an opportunity to change it and make it better. And a recent president didn't start any new wars. And a recent president was trying trying to bring back American jobs. And the current president seems to be, hell-bent on indicting a prior president. So if we want to talk about it holistically, then just bring it down to the person saying, oh, your perception isn't the reality, your perception isn't the reality. That's a lot of crap. People are looking in their wallets, and it's not making ends meet, and it's getting tougher. And it's not that inflation is down today. It's what inflation has done on a compound effect on the last 3 years. This plus this plus this plus this, and it's 33%. That box of cornflakes is very accurate representation of what's happening on the rest of the shelves. Gas may go down as a commodity, so it's, thank God, cost them less to get back and forth to work. But everything else in their life is at a new plateau, and they're fighting it every day. It's not perception that there's $1.1 trillion of credit card debt now. It's not perception that buy now, pay later was such a hit at Christmas, and now it's at a 40% delinquency rate. That's reality that's hitting the American middle class.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know if I could have said it any better. I don't have anything else to add, but then what you just said right there, I agree. They're feeling it. Let's go to the next story. ESPN star Stephen A. Smith fires back at Hillary Clinton over remarks about voters. Last thing you need to do, Rob, can you play the clip of him saying this? If you have the clip of Stephen A. Smith on him going after Hillary Clinton's comments here. I'll read it, and then if you can find it, because it says yellow here, which means you have a video of it.
I do. I also have Hillary's comments if you want to play Hillary's
perfect.
first.
Play Hillary first, and then we go to his.
Oh, what the hell?
Here come the deplorables.
It's Biden versus Trump. We know that.
It is.
What do you say to voters who are upset that those are the two choices?
Get over yourself. Those are the two choices.
Yeah, love that.
Right? And
good.
It's kind of like,
look at her neck.
One is old and effective and compassionate, has a heart, and really cares about people. And one is old and has been charged with 91 felonies.
Let's cheer. Yeah.
I don't understand why this is even a hard choice, really. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But we have to go through the election, and hopefully people will realize what's at stake, because it's an existential
good
question.
word.
What kind of country we're going to have, what kind of democracy we're going to have.
Do you think Jimmy
people
Fallon
blow
even
that
likes
off for
her?
not paying attention.
What do you think? Do you think
Jimmy Fallon likes anybody that says anything that sits next to him?
I agree with Adam.
He's just going to pander to whoever's on his
just
arm.
one of those laughing, goofy, funny. He has no position. He's lukewarm.
I don't know if deep down inside you can have certain people that even you agree with that you don't like. I don't know if he I don't know if he sits there saying, "Oh my God, Hillary Clinton's on next week. I can't wait, babe."
Yeah,
I agree with you. Fallon is not Kimmel.
Yeah, I don't see it. But okay, let's see Stephen A's.
Kimmel is unwatchable, and he would be shining her shoes and just.
Here's Stephen A. Smith. Go for it.
I don't think it was a very wise statement on her part. How did that work out for her in 2016? I think that's something that we have to recognize. Yes, she won the popular vote, but at the end of the day, she wasn't the president of the United States. It was him. You can look at her not campaigning in Wisconsin in the last days, not campaigning in Pennsylvania in the last days. You can look at some of the stuff that they were saying about her that sort of distracted things from where it should have been in terms of Comey and his report from the FBI. You can bring up a whole bunch of things, but at the end of the day, the last thing you need to do is to do anything that could agitate a potential voter in this particular election.
What do you make about the actual argument that she's making? I mean, she's basically saying two old people, yes, but they're substantively different. I mean, Trump has 91 counts against him.
Well,
and
listen,
if you're
nobody's brought that up more than me. Four indictments, 91 counts, impeached twice. I'm not voting for him. I've said that to a lot of people. I've said that to you. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that at some point in time, you got to take into account what the voters thinking about. The voters, a lot of them out there, tens of millions of them out there, by the way, don't care what he's going through right now. They don't care about his guilt or innocence, his perceived guilt or innocence. They don't care about the 91 counts. They're thinking about their lives. And a lot of times we see politicians taking the positions that they're taking, and while we can respect their candor and their honesty, they do seem a bit detached at times from what the voters are actually feeling and what the voters are actually thinking. Nobody wants to hear that from Hillary Rodham Clinton at this particular moment in time, because especially if you're Joe Biden, what are you really worried about?
Pat, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why did they, is it just me, or who gives a shit, sorry for my language, about what Hillary thinks or what she's doing? Or I understand it's election season, but who, Is anybody?
Women.
Is she?
I'll answer your question.
Okay, hold on.
It's women.
Women are persuaded by that human being, that corrupt, evil person speaking. Yes. You think a woman, I'm with her, is going to sit home and go, you know what? I'm going to double vote for Biden. It's like, I'm sick. And if I was in the Democratic Party or I was a voter,
well, people in Chicago do.
Well, I'd be like, Hillary, just shut up, bro. Move on from this person. By the way, and who makes that phone call and goes, yeah, Fallon, we're going to have Hillary on. Why? She's not swaying the. She's obviously doing more damage than good. She's a known freaking cheater. You know what I mean? Her husband's a 52-time going to Epstein Island. Like, these people, that's the cancer of the Democratic Party. And I think that does more damage than good, Tom.
It means it's election season, Vinny, and they're sending out the proxies. And she is a proxy, and she got look at the fact. We may not agree with it. I mean, we may not have voted this way, but she won the popular vote. So there's a lot of people out there voted for her. So the DNC and the machine and the establishment is sending her out there on tour to see if she can sway.
That's the last person that I would have out there. I would just have Michelle Obama every single day. I'd have Michelle Obama going, hi, I'm Michelle Obama. My husband's Barack Obama. Yay. She's doing nothing for the people. I'm telling you right now. I know hardcore liberals from California that every time that she comes on TV, they're like, Hillary, shut up. Nobody wants to hear you. Nobody wants to hear Bill Clinton. They come out there and they wave. You're not doing anything. Yeah, you're not doing anything.
From a dude's perspective, yeah, I'm with you. I'm not with her.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Good play on words.
Like, there's nothing that resonates with an average person when Hillary shows up, when it's like, dude, get him, Hillary, bro. Like, no. But the reality is she's being marketed to females because it's the movable middle. It's a ladies' rob. If you show this stat right there, dude, she's not swaying men. Right? We've done this stat before where who votes Republican versus Democrats? Married men overwhelmingly vote Republican. Married women vote Republican. Unmarried men tend to vote Republican. Unmarried liberal women, for the most part, overwhelmingly are with Hillary. And it's not even close, bro. So that's the only, by the way.
Is that the views audience?
Clip this right here.
Yeah.
The only way Joe Biden and the Democrats win this election is if they get the female vote. So you're going to see women's rights, abortion, my body, my choice. That is their play, number one. And number two, Trump is a threat to democracy.
100%.
That's all they got.
But do you think that they could pick, hold on, I get, Adam, I'm with you 1,000%. But there's nobody better than to pick than somebody that, okay, Benghazi, she ruined that whole thing, got in trouble for her servers in her basement, okay, Russian collusion, her husband, how much...
What do you mean pick anyone better?
Like, who else in the Democratic, what's a better female that has tenure like her that you can have speak instead of Hillary Clinton?
Well, I mean, it's not, she's on Jimmy Fallon. It's
no,
not
but
like it's not like she's speaking to the DNC. She's on a freaking late night talk show.
No, but
it's not a big deal.
No, what do you mean that's not a big deal? She's on Fallon. You know how many people are watching?
My buddy Marcelo Hernandez was just on Fallon the other day. He's they have guests every week.
Yeah, but
by the way, here's the real question.
Yeah.
When are they going to freaking have some Republicans on there?
Never.
When are they going to have Trump on there?
You'll never get.
When are they going to have DeSantis on there?
You're never.
It's just all left.
Yeah, no, you'll never.
And this is why Greg Gutfeld, respect to you, buddy, the least talented guy in late night is the number one show.
Tom.
By the way, back to the point here. Stephen A. is taking some heat, but that was a very smart strategic point Stephen A. was making. He said the last thing you want to be doing right now is agitating a voter bloc.
Yeah.
And Stephen A. is taking heat for that, but I think he's correct. He's being strategically correct, and he's taking heat because he won't wave the flag with the establishment on the Democratic side. And he's just objectively laying everything out there. And I guess you can't be objective, smart, and strategic and without taking heat.
Can I say one thing about Stephen A.? And then obviously, PBD, I'm going to let you do your thing. Stephen A. is like, he's there. It's kind of like where I'm at. He just is unwilling to even consider voting for Trump. Like, meaning he's not a Trump guy. We've had this conversation many times, policy versus personality. He's just not willing to take that leap because, as he said on the PBD podcast right here, he goes, the guy just don't act right.
Okay,
he can't vote but most people understand that and would.
But I don't. But again, he's going after Hillary, basically saying like, by the way, she does this all the time. This isn't the first time. Good for giving her flag. But for Stephen A. Smith, he sat right here to say, without a doubt, I'm a Joe Biden. How can you? What has Joe Biden done to make somebody of that stature and that education to say, I'm going for Biden? Name one. Is he scared?
I don't know if he's
Is
going
he scared
for
to
Biden.
lose his...
I just think he's dismissing Trump.
No, but he's not saying I'll vote for...
I think he would vote for RFK.
No. He just said Biden 3 times.
Did he say he's voting for Biden?
Yeah. Did you not pay attention to it 3 times?
He said that in the clip?
I'm voting for Biden.
I heard him say he's not voting for Trump.
No. He said Biden's name 3 times. But what my point is he scared because Joe Biden said if you don't vote for him, you ain't black? Is he afraid of losing his blackness? No, wait, hold on. I'm being kind of funny, but at the same token, how can you say that? Name me one thing that you're going to say, I'm voting for Joe Biden because of what? I don't want to hear infrastructure or that. Go ahead. Give me one thing. Name one. Go ahead. Put the Jeopardy song on. Nothing is going right. And when people go, well, we had inflation to 6, now it's down to 3. It's still a shit show. Nothing is going right. If you can name me one, give me one. Thank you. Go ahead, Tom, take it away. Right, Rob?
I think you're doing pretty well on your own there on that one.
Shit.
And I think the point was about Stephen A. And I made the point that I thought he was making a very strategic
Let me ask
point.
this question, Tom. Yeah. Do you think Stephen A., given the argument that he does there, what kind of change are you making? Meaning, you made your argument about Hillary. You made your argument Biden's a bad choice. You made your argument, no problem. Everyone's voting the same way.
Yep.
There is no change. Blacks are still going to be owned by the Democratic Party. They're going to keep that vote, and they're going to keep abusing it, and they're going to keep giving entitlements to make sure they keep the community the way they have. And Roland G. Fryer, who was here last week, studying to see the effects of hip-hop, and that's his next study. He did where, does race play a role in police brutality? No. Police were actually rougher with whites than they were with blacks. And they were actually more, cautious with blacks than whites, according to a Harvard professor who was a Time Magazine 2009 top 100 most influential men in the world, who Claudine Gay wanted to fire after the report came up to take his tenure away because their study showed something that it didn't. And now he's doing a study on hip hop. Some people, I said there's a psyop with, what do you call it, with
the CIA
and using hip hop,
gangster rap,
after police and all this stuff. Ice Cube talked about this briefly, and he's the guy that wrote the song. He had the song, after police. But the point is, he says the studies of hip hop isn't the fact that it did anything to the communities that were troubled communities. Hip hop hurt kids that were from good communities to make them think they were gangsters. I can't wait for that study to come out, by the way. Mm-hmm. But here's the point, Stephen A. Brother, what change are you making, though? They're going to vote the same way. There's not really a change. It's not like you're protesting. No, there is no protesting. It's just here's what's going on. I think if there is a person that could make a shift, it's him. But you got to also realize, in your career, when did George Carlin start talk about stuff the way he did? When did George start when did he get into the I don't give a shit mode?
Great question.
The 7 words you can't say on TV.
No. Great. That's a great question.
Well into his career where he had success and a platform he could protect himself.
Early 90s,
Carlin's, I would say right around there, because remember, guys, he started radio. He was the hippie. He was the weed. Yeah. And then, that's a great question. I think, Reagan and all that administration. From
the late 80s onwards.
The 7 words you can't say on television.
His routines focused on socio-cultural criticism of American societies.
In the 80s, and then that was it.
He often commented on American political issues and satirized American culture. His 7 dirty words routine was central to the 1978 Supreme Court 5-4 decision and government's power to censor indecent material on public airways, which, by the way, that's a Republican position today. Yep. That's a conservative position today. But why did he do it? It's very hard to say it. Guys will ask me a question. They say, Pat, you've made the money already. Why what do you like? Just why are you doing this to yourself? Just kind of set aside and don't do any of this stuff. Why are you doing this? I've seen what happened to other great countries, and I don't want to see it happening here. I think Stephen A., if he wants to really make actual change, it has to be with CTA. And CTA is call to action. There is no CTA. He's done them before where there is CTA, but he gets in trouble when he does CTA. A great sermon without a CTA means nothing. A great sermon with a call to give your life up and walk up, right? And your sins will be forgiven. But it's a CTA. You know, Dudley one time told me the story about the fact that when he first went to the church, I don't know what the church was, Kansas or whatever.
Iowa. It was in Iowa where he started.
Rookie pastor, have I told this story to you before? Rookie pastor gets up. He gives the most incredible sermon he's been preparing for. Everybody stands up going crazy. He comes afterwards, and he says, the senior pastor of the new church says, so how, did you see that? Everybody was standing up. How did I do? He says, you didn't do well. He says, what do you mean? He says, you were a great motivational speaker, but how many people walked up? Nobody. There was no CTA. CTA is, I would rather have a person give a terrible speech, sermon, but have 50 people walk up than come and get a guy that gives an incredible sermon, but nobody gives their life to anything. There is no baptism or any kind of things taking place. CTA is what matters. Call to action. When you're able to convert. If you're not, you're just going around trying to give your opinions, but you're afraid of the actual CTA. I'm curious, what is the CTA, Stephen A? He's going to see this. What is the CTA? So let's just say I'm a black voter, and I've been voting Democrat my entire life, okay? What should I do differently when I come to vote this year? Tell me, 2025, I'm curious. What should I do differently? What can I do differently? Oh, still vote Democrat. Okay, so but listen, then what's the purpose of the message? Nothing. There's not a purpose of the message because you're like, well, we need better candidates. Well, you don't pick them, the DNC does. You don't pick them anyways. They eventually tell them, hey, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, you're about to beat Hillary. You know, this one's hey, you know what? No, everybody drop out. Everybody get behind Biden. When Biden was number 4 in what? Iowa or New Hampshire?
South Carolina.
In one of those, he's done. It's like all of a sudden, wait a minute. Yeah, let's all get behind him.
In South Carolina.
We're all getting behind him, yes. Where is the CTA? I'm interested in the CTA. If you're going to give me a message like that, if I'm giving a message like that to Dylan, you know how you're supposed to finish it up? CTA.
What are you going to do?
What do you know? Here's what I would do if I were you. Not what are you going to do. Here's what I would do if I were you. Go. Then the individual has to sit there and say what?
Make a decision.
Let me think about it.
Yep.
Let me think about it. Maybe, maybe not. That's the CTA word. To me, it's you're just giving a message. There is no CTA.
This is a random question. So Stephen A is with ESPN, correct?
Yeah.
Is he under? Has he signed the deal yet, or what? Does anybody know anything with Stephen?
ESPN has to pay him anything he asks for. The guys earn the right to be the highest paid guy in sports at ESPN.
Who owns ESPN?
Disney.
Okay, here's my question to you: how much of this is pressure, or not pressure, or just knowing that the CEO, the Bob Iger, is he Democrat?
For sure.
Oh, okay then. So let's put this together. In that contract, or obviously he knows who this guy is there anything written in there where, let's just say Stephen A gets a $20 million a year contract, okay? And it happens, he signs the deal. The next day he goes, hey guys, guess what? I'm voting for Donald J. Trump. What happens to Stephen A. Smith? Is there anything in the contract that says you can't publicly try to go after one candidate?
There's one thing you'll know about Stephen A.
Yeah.
Is he's a character guy.
Yeah.
2 people that were having lunch at the house with us. He's known them for 20 years. He took care of them.
Yeah.
Same
Great
people. I mean, this is a very good human being.
Oh, I agree.
Stephen is a very good human being, but he's in a conflicted situation where he's at. Let me just go to the next story. Let me just go to the next story. That's kind of like has to do with this. So, former ESPN host Sage Steele says her Biden interview was entirely scripted by networks execs. Every single question. Rob, do you have the clip of this when she says this? Go ahead.
Day in sports. Opening day for America's national pastimes. This was about 2 months after he took office. That was an interesting experience in its own right because it was so structured, and I was told, you will say every word that we write out. You will not deviate from the script and go. To the word, like every single question was scripted, gone over dozens of times by many executives, editors and executives. Absolutely. I was on script and was told not to deviate. It was very much, this is what you will ask, this is how you will say it. No follow-ups. No follow-ups. Next. I knew that this was a lot bigger than just the wonderful editors that I worked with. This went up to the fourth floor, as we said, that we're all the bosses, the top executives, the decision makers are the president of our company.
Adam, do you have a problem with this?
Where they all work.
Do you have a problem with this? So Sage Steele, ESPN, these are the 6 questions you ask. You cannot even say, how do you feel about that? What do you think about that one time? How about the fact that some Americans feel that when you say, if I don't vote for you, you're not black? Do you think it's fair for you to make that kind of an accusation? Do you think there's nothing like that can be asked? What do you think about the network forcing you to ask every single question the way they put it?
So I'll give you 3 responses.
Go for it.
Am I shocked that this is after he was elected, correct? What she said? 3 months after he was elected?
Yeah.
Am I shocked that the Biden administration is going to want posed, queued up questions? Not in the least. Am I shocked that ESPN is not trying to, owned by Disney,
rock the boat?
Trying to rock the boat and piss off the administration for whatever reason? No. The third thing is Sage Steele. That's on you, sweetheart. Like, you can make your own decisions as a journalist. You could say, sure, I'll co-sign this, whatever you want me to do, I will do. Or you could say, yeah, I don't operate that way. Like, PBD, how often does someone tell you what are the questions you're going to ask and I want to know the script? And how often would you even listen to them? I'm going to guess 0.
What?
Right?
When
if a DeSantis comes, or Vivek comes, or a Bob Iger comes. No. There's 0 script.
No, we don't do that.
Exactly. That's my point. So she made the decision, and she's great. She's awesome. She made the decision to say, okay, whatever you want me to do.
There's a difference between me and her, though, because I am running a business. So for me, and this is, even when I started my YouTube channel from small, we never, ever sent questions to people. Never. I got to tell you, I don't know if we've ever sent questions to people, ever.
Right.
However, at one time when I had Bush at our event, remember the first time we had Bush at George Bush at the event? 2019, and it was an event with him and what was it? Kobe and all those guys. Yeah. The Bush administration, when we had him on, there was a list of questions to go through because, he gets a lot of heat and hate. They gave the questions, and then when he and I were on the stage, I asked the questions that I wanted to ask as well. And he gave information that was out of control. He gave the information. Like, he told a story one time about the fact that he poured all the whiskey and alcohol. Do you remember that? Were you at this event or no?
No, but I saw the video.
Yeah, when he's like, well, I poured all the alcohol on, and I was an alcoholic, and I was thinking to myself, what am I doing? I'm wasting my life. I'm not being a good father. The guy was ridiculously open when he talked, right? Here's a question, though. When you think about this. Who was he on recently? He wasn't on Seth Meyers. Is it Seth Meyers he was on? If you see the Seth Meyers clip he's on, we don't need to play it right now. You'll notice he's wearing glasses.
Yeah.
And you'll notice he's reading what they want him to say,
He's
right?
be cool.
Whatever, he puts the glasses on. And his marketing team, you got to give him a lot of credit for how brilliant they are and how to hide what he's doing. Seth is asked the question. They've told him that's the skit we're going to play. And he plays it, and it, does what it does. Everybody reacts to it, right? Do you know what the difference is with him and his opponent? You know what his opponent does?
Talks for an hour and a half.
Do you think his opponent says, send me the list of questions and what do you want to ask?
Nope.
What do you think his opponent does? His opponent goes up and says what?
Whatever he wants.
So you know what you'll notice? There's a difference between establishment candidates and non-establishment candidates. Establishment candidates tell you what to ask them. Non-establishment candidates say, ask me whatever the hell you want to ask me.
Yep.
Let's roll. America has to choose if they want an establishment candidate or a non-establishment candidate. The fact that this happened during that time at the network with ESPN, I'm not surprised. Would you be surprised, Tom?
I'm not surprised at all. And a matter of fact, I kind of disagree with Adam on one point. I don't put it on Sage Steele. Sage Steele went to work where she was an employee under contract. And she was told how to do her job that day. And now she's coming back and very openly saying, hey, you know what? if journalism is spelled with a capital J, why can't I ask follow-ups? Why isn't this an interview? Is this a photo op? Is this just a infomercial controlled by the president? And you can see the tension she's talking about. But that day, she went to work. She was told what to do by her boss, and she did it. Was there anything illegal, unethical, immoral, or dishonest about that? No, she wasn't covering up a scandal. They were asking questions, and she's now saying, I was so surprised that there was no follow-ups and no nothing. It wasn't congressional testimony. And I respect her for now in this forum coming back saying, here, do I wish more reporters would stand up in better ways to the manipulation so that Americans would understand that there is hope for real journalism, maybe someplace, and we're not just seeing a scripted movie? I do hope that. I do hope that. But on that day, she went to work that she was told. It wasn't like she was lying about COVID.
Mm-hmm. To your point, by the way, I establishment, anti-establishment, Trump, Biden, it's like completely the polar opposite human beings. Where on Biden's side, scripted, because we all know it might not even be Biden, it's often their handlers, their agents, their publicists, their PR. They're basically saying, this is how we operate. Don't ask him about this. Don't do this. It's not Biden, as you know. It's his handlers. The thing with Biden is people want him to do more interviews, talk more. Like, let's expose what's really going on here. Trump, it's the exact opposite. He's too lippy. He's too open. Some people are like,
I love it.
Just shut it up a little, buddy. But that's who he is. That's his personality. You're not going to stop that.
Yeah.
Totally opposite individual.
But let's not forget, for how many different interviews did we see Joe Biden having cue cards and photographers, Pat, used to take photos. It would say, stand up now.
Wait for applause.
Wait for applause. Look left. Don't shit in your pants. It's not as if it's a secret. And that's why, and you nailed it, when the establishment is the they. When Joe Biden's sitting there looking lost and they go, hey, answer this question. And he goes, I can't. They said that. That's what makes Donald Trump say whatever the hell you want about Trump, bro. He is such a boss because for an hour and a half and would go into those briefing rooms and go off the cuff. And yeah, he was a little brash. Yeah, he talked shit. That's what New Yorkers, but I respect that 1,000 times more than this. No, I can't. And the moment the questions are done, those handlers at him, do you hear him in the White House? Everybody get
Turn
out.
to your right
Don't
and shake hands with a
and
ghost.
He sits there and smile.
By the way, if you notice, when Stephen A. was on CNN, you know what he put in his profile on the bottom?
What?
Stephen A. YouTube show. He didn't put First Take. He put Stephen A. YouTube show. Okay.
Wow. What?
So, yeah, if you go back and look at the profile at the bottom.
I didn't even notice that.
Well, go ahead and play it.
Yeah, in the Chiron.
And go a little bit more. Fast forward. Okay, keep going. First host take, and then keep going.
YouTube host,
right?
Stephen. Oh,
so,
wow.
but where I'm going with this is when I first went to ESPN, and I was interviewing him. His handler 50 times telling me, don't ask Stephen A. anything about politics.
His handler said that.
50 times.
Yes.
What?
He said, if you do, we're going to cut the interview.
Yep.
No.
Yes.
Exactly.
But guess who didn't know about it?
Him?
He didn't know about it.
Oh.
Yep.
So it wasn't his call.
Oh,
they were saying that. He would have played ball. They were worried because they knew he answers the question because they can't control him.
Wow.
So it wasn't a he thing. It was an ESPN thing.
Gotcha.
That's the difference. But
the handler thing is such an important thing because those guys, that's their cash cow. God forbid he gets canceled. God forbid he gets fired. God forbid his contract's expired. His agent, his publicist, his PR, everyone's done with.
I have a handler. It's Kelly. She goes, Vinny, don't say the F word.
Exactly.
And that's all I do.
And that's why
I love her.
But the handler thing, the establishment, the anti is so important because Biden, we all know, is coddled and handled to the extreme. With Trump, ain't nobody handling that dude. He's gonna.
I love that, but don't you? Isn't that refreshing? Yeah, he's a little out there.
A lot of people don't.
Because a lot of people are soft, Adam. I personally just like when Stephen A. was like, yeah, he's not presidential. With all the shit that they did to him, he has a freaking get out of jail free card to talk as much shit as he wants from what they did from 2016 to all the shit to right now.
We get it.
Let
You're
him
voting
go.
for Trump.
Yeah, let him go. Let him go.
I think your community has a lot of influence over you. A lot of influence over you. If you notice when certain people who come in a caged environment, controlled environment, when they're around us, what happens?
They let it rip.
They love it.
They absolutely love it.
I agree.
It's just like, let's talk, let's boo. They're protected, they're safe, and you can tell it in their mannerisms on how they are. That's not the case everywhere. where that takes place. It's just not the case everywhere. Matter of fact, Andrew Schulz recently said something. Rob, if you can pull up this clip from Andrew Schulz. I don't know what all of a sudden happened and prompted Andrew Schulz to say this, but go ahead and play this clip of Andrew Schulz reacting to what happened between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens. Go ahead.
He makes the argument for censorship. He calls it something else.
Yeah, I forget the term. I have it in my phone.
But I don't even think he's using the term right. But he's basically like, there's a window of ideas we accept.
Yes.
And we accept ideas between this, I guess this is, if I get window, you're looking like this. So we accept ideas between here and here. And anything outside of that window, well, you're fireable. That's censorship.
What?
But he's acting as if this is like a justified reason for firing people when you built your identity and platform off of no censorship and freedom of speech and facts don't care about your feelings and all this shit.
It's also funny that that window happens to end where his beliefs end.
Isn't
it interesting?
You would say that.
Not being pro-Israel, that's where the window ends. That's also your specific personal belief.
What?
So I just don't see.
So you can't have an opinion on your platform that is not pro a country that is not ours?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Crazy. I wish.
So is the Daily Wire an American media platform or is it an Israeli media platform? I'm just asking.
This guy's cooking.
I'm just asking. If the rule is, I'm just saying, if the rule is you cannot be critical, because he has no problem being very critical of America.
Yep.
Critical of the left in America. Left is half the country. You have no problem eviscerating half of the country.
That's the current party in power.
But you can't criticize Israel as a country. That's just another country, unless you're saying, and you're clearly admitting, that the Daily Wire is an arm of the Israeli, I guess, media or propaganda machine. Is that? Oof. Are you manipulating the religious right in America? Are you manipulating the right-wing conservatives in America and selling them country western movies and putting on your little cowboy hat and fake moving to Nashville so that you could take all their money and then in the process restricting free speech, one of the core tenets of the American identity? Ben.
Benjamin.
What is happening? There's trouble in paradise.
Pause it right there. For context, Daily Wire is in Nashville, but he's in Florida. But yeah. What do you think about his points?
I mean, it makes a valid point, but and I sent Rob another video of Ben kind of contradicting himself, but he's 100% right. Like what? And by the way, that's what attracted me to Ben Shapiro in the first place. That dialogue, that everybody say what you want, do what you want. Facts don't care about your feelings. This is a place where you can say anything except that one topic. And we obviously know Ben is 1,000% Israel. We get it. It's no secret. They could do no wrong. And can we play this, Patrick? I sent Rob this clip of Ben basically contradicting himself.
We have literally tens of millions of people in the United States who are afraid that the cancel culture is coming for them. And cancel culture does exist. Okay, so what this results in very, very often is corporations looking to cram down a particular viewpoint on you and then cancel you. When it comes to the hosts on the Daily Wire, obviously everyone is able to say what they want. But the reality is that there is an Overton window at the Daily Wire. There are polls out there that show that a vast majority of Americans in every single political group, including liberals, feel like they cannot say what they want to say in public because they're afraid that they are going to be canceled, fired, cast out from polite society. And then this actually happened to a socialist moron named Nathan Robinson. He got canceled from The Guardian. He's basically saying he got canceled from The Guardian because he had put up some anti-Israel tweets. Okay, now I think he's an idiot. I think that his views on Israel are abhorrent. But I don't think that he should lose his columnist slot over at The Guardian. That's a different story, obviously, when it comes to any publisher. Any publisher gets to make decisions about what it wishes to purvey and not. He certainly would not defend anybody on the other side.
He used to say, now he's so he went against his word on basically everything that he said. Yeah. He went the complete opposite because we found out that they fired her. They didn't have one of those contract disputes. They were like, you don't see the way that we say you're being anti-us. Goodbye, and they fired her. So that's just proof that he's a hypocrite.
Thoughts on this?
So I've been very open that I thought that the Daily Wire managed the whole thing with Candace in public and managed it very poorly. And then Ben Shapiro just come back on leadership and say, well, I'm a founder, but I'm not the CEO. And I'm not making decisions. I'm like, come on, dude, you just did. Yeah. So I thought the way it played out in public from a leadership standpoint was not good. But I kind of see it another way. You determine the product you're going to put out. You determine, and for better or for worse. And if you get exposed like CNN did for spinning things, stifling things, and not really be journalists, then guess what? Your ratings go down, your ads go down, your business goes down. Now, let's take a look at this. What if, Pat, we had some people at PHP and we're selling life insurance, proven life insurance that's protecting families, is doing good stuff.
Sure.
Proven product. Yep. And what if we had somebody saying people going with they get their insurance license, and they tell people, you should just buy gold. Life insurance really isn't it. You should just buy gold. Just buy gold, just do that. We would take them aside and say, what are you doing? You know what? We're here and we're training people, and these are valid products. This is what we got. And you wouldn't be there. Vinny, if you had a car dealership and you were selling EVs, and you would say, look, a Ford F-150 pickup with the diesel engine, big F-250 with diesel, that's what you need to be hauling stuff around on your farm. You shouldn't be thinking about, EVs or something. You would be like, wait a minute, I hired you to sell EVs. So there is a part of it that the position of a company, you may not agree with it. You know what? If you're there and you're selling it, that's it. But I thought how it played out with Candace was just bad.
I want to give you, and I know where you're going with that, where, the product of the product, right? Be a product of the product. Like, for example, I remember when I bought cars from Jaime Godina, okay? And Jaime Godina sold me my Ford Focus and I believe the Expedition. When I was going broke, he got me a Ford Focus for $228 a month.
Wow.
If Jaime Godina, you guys can share this with him. I think he's at Nissan right now, Honda right now. He's been with Honda. Stud of a guy. We bought so many cars from that guy, it's not even funny. I said, what do you drive? He says, I drive an Expedition. And I went to the back and I'm like, wow, you drive an Expedition? Absolutely. It's the best car to own. I do this for my family. I do this. I'm like, okay. So he worked at Ford and he drove a Ford. As a buyer, you respect that.
Of course.
You like that. I love that, right? I went to a country club the other day and they're selling me the membership. And then the person selling me the membership said, and I like the fact that this person was very honest with us. I said, so how often do you bring your family here? Oh, I never bring my family here. I'm like, what? Are you being serious? Oh, we never use the facility. I'm like, whoa, it's kind of weird. It's like saying, well, hey, do you, and by the way, somebody may say, well, you work at Burger King, but you would never eat the same food because you're there all the time. You eat at Chipotle, you don't eat okay, I can see a part of that as well, the argument, fine. But a product of the product is the highest level. However, in PHP, Tom, we had, Christians, Muslims, 7 days, Catholics. We have whites, blacks, Asian, everything. People knew my position very, very strong. And it wasn't something that was indisputable. It wasn't like it was hidden. It wasn't a secret. You knew what I stood for. But at the same time, I was always in the business of converting, meaning if you're in the business of shifting people's mindset from not wanting to work hard, that takes a while. But it doesn't mean, nope, you're not, you're out, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the business of baptizing and converting and persuading and shifting and paradigm shift, you have to be very, 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 very patient. Do you know how many people eventually became a Christian simply because the way the person treated them? Do you know most people that become Christians or any denomination? Yesterday, the guy at the soccer game that we're watching, the quarterfinals, Inter Miami against Monterrey. Phenomenal game. The guy right next to us, they were holding a 16 balloon. And I'm like, dude, that guy's son doesn't look like he's 16 years old. He looks 12 or 13. Why the hell is he holding a 16-year-old balloon? Finally, the guy comes. He's a valuetainer. He says, I'm your number one fan. I'm this, I'm that.
Adam.
Yeah, he says 17 years. Nicest guy, by the way.
Adam, amazing
17 years. 17 years. This Adam was. 17 years. 17 years he's been sober. And the other guy, they were celebrating his 16 years of being sober, right?
Amazing.
And I'm having this conversation with him, and he says, I went from being a Jew to being a Catholic. I said, what? You don't hear that often, by the way.
I've never heard it.
I said, you went from a Jew to a Catholic, yes. I said, tell me why. Why'd you go through it? He says, a big part of it was because when I was going through my sobriety, people from the Catholic Church were there for me.
Wow.
And so it means you have to know that conversion and baptism is just patience and being there and understanding. A guy leaves, you know how many guys left and they trashed me when they left? You're this and you're that and you're this and you're blah, 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 blah. And then they would call each other 5 years later. Hey, man, listen, You were right. I'd love to come back. I've changed. I've done this. I've done that. And not everybody. This is not saying everybody comes back. But there was a lot of people that would say that call. Why? Because you have to be patient. You have to be understanding. You have to know we're different. And you have to see what's going to happen. When people were saying what they were saying about this guy, you better fire him. You better do this. You better do that. You better do this. Listen, man, I'm patient. I'm understanding. I'm going through certain things. I'm going to see what's going to happen as a leader. And at Valuetainment, we do have one very clear value that we don't compromise, and that's capitalism. Mm-hmm. There is no, it's very public. Guess what? I'm not compromising that. It's proven. You have communism, you have socialism, you have capitalism. We're not debating this, right? But there's a difference between an economical system with believing in enlighten, empower, entertain, debate, where it's one of our big discourse where we like to debate. And you can't debate faith, and you can't debate religion, and you can't debate that. That's the problem with when you take that position. What you do after that kind of a move, if I'm a Jew, okay, and I'm a devout at his level, and I want to go to a company that I will feel 100% safe, guess what's officially the number one media company to go to if you're Jewish and you want to proudly sell all the values and principles that you believe in? Guess what's number one worldwide? It's officially Daily Wire.
Yep.
If that's your value. And there's nothing wrong with CBN is what? What does CBN stand for?
Christian Broadcasting Network.
It's not, a RBN, Religious Broadcasting Network. It's what? Christian Broadcasting Network. Daily Wire can be Daily DJW, Daily Jewish Wire, or DIW, Daily Israel Wire. No problem.
Yep.
If that's your value, stick to that. If that's your number one, maybe conservative America, all the other stuff comes next. But positioning-wise, business-wise, if you got an Andrew Schulz, what religion is Andrew Schulz, by the way? Is he a Catholic, Rob? What is Andrew Schulz?
Fake Jewish.
No,
everyone thinks he's Jewish. He's not.
No, he was reading scripture the other day.
Irish Catholic, I think.
He was reading scripture the other day. He was reading scripture from the Bible the other day. Very weird that he was saying. I went to church, and when I was at church for first time, church on Sunday, and it was beautiful. I was crying 3 minutes. Is this it? Can you play this clip real quick? Yeah, this is him. Watch this.
Listen to what comedian Andrew Schulz had to say when he visited a church for the first time.
Went to church this Sunday, and it was beautiful. I'm crying within 3 minutes, bawling. I'm in this church, just listening to the music. I'm 3 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, there's a reason this took over the world. Christianity is incredible. You see so much selfishness, and for these people to sit in this room and then just give it up, it was beautiful.
You can pause it. So anyways, for him, he's a pretty reasonable guy and fair guy to say something like that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what those guys do next.
Yeah. Can I respond?
Of course.
Cool. Well, number one, love Andrew Schulz. Majority of the time, he's got amazing takes. I don't know if he was right on this one. And I certainly don't think Akash was right. Here's what I'll tell you. It's NFL season right now. They're going to have the draft coming up soon. It's free agency season. They're talking about who the top free agents are. They're talking about what's going on out there. The number one free agent out there in the YouTube talking headspace is Candace Owens, no doubt. Whether you agree with her or disagree with her, she's out there and she'll be a force to be reckoned with, and she is going nowhere. Whether it works out with the Daily Wire or not, evidently it didn't, obviously. When it comes to the situation with Ben Shapiro, look, I got nothing to do with the Daily Wire. I'm not defending the Daily Wire. I have zero relationship with Ben Shapiro, zero. I ain't going to the Daily Jewish Wire. I'm here at Valuetainment. He's absolutely right, though. There's something called the Overton window, and that's what he's talking about. This is the problem with Ben Shapiro. He's so freaking smart that the average person is like, what is this guy even talking about? The Overton window has specifically to do with policy. Policy, not perspective, not opinion, policy. And the range of ideas that are allowed to be applied to policy. It is policy driven, not opinions. So it goes from what's a policy that is implementable to the masses, what's acceptable, what's popular, what's sensible. And then on the fringe of that is what is completely unthinkable and completely radical. He said straight up, this has nothing to do with her positions. And I don't think he's actually full on commented on what exactly happened. By the way, the Daily Wire, the cancel thing, there's a point there, but it's nuanced. The Daily Wire has every right to cancel whoever they want and fire whoever they want, because there's a difference between a publisher and a platform versus a private company. This has to do with Section 230, the whole conversation that's going on with cancel culture. Like if YouTube censors somebody or Twitter censors somebody or Facebook censors somebody, Meta, that is censorship. If the Daily Wire or The Blaze or Valuetainment for that matter, or Tucker Carlson Network, whatever he's working on, chooses to fire somebody, that's not censorship. That's a business decision. So I'm not defending what Ben Shapiro did with Candace or not. I'm just letting you know that's the reality of this Overton window. By the way, here's some examples of the Overton window. What was completely radical and now became policy. Slavery. That was part of the Overton window. That was part of policy-driven, you can own slaves. Hello? That would be completely unthinkable and radical at this point. Women's right to vote. Women's suffrage.
What did Candace say? What did Candace say that was overly unacceptable policy-wise?
So I'm not privy to what she said, but I will tell you this.
But that argument only carries weight if you can validate what Candace said that was so out of line that caused you to say, we don't, it's not about the decision, or what did she say that was so overly offensive, or something in the lines, because you're comparing, slavery is okay is what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that within the Overton window, at one point it was okay.
No, I
just like women not being able to vote was okay. And now it is not.
What I'm saying is, what did she say that was at that level of weight and impact to say, boom, we're out of here?
We don't know, but all I can do is tell you what we've seen online. Here's what I can tell you. By the way, 0 other Jewish people work for Daily Wire. Jordan Peterson, he's their number one guy, not Jewish. Matt Walsh, hardcore Christian. The other guy, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, I think he's a born-again Jews for Jesus type of guy. Ben Shapiro's the only guy that's Jewish, so let's just say that. But there was a whole conversation, like Matt Walsh as an example, firm isolationist. Don't fund Ukraine. Don't fund Israel. Don't fund Taiwan. Firm isolationist. That's the position of the MAGA perspective these days. And Ben Shapiro said, yeah, that's totally cool with that. Whatever happened with the Christ is King, drinking Christian blood, that's a conversation that Candace and Ben, I think.
But but what he's saying is, because I follow this closely, because guess what? She has her opinions about Israel and how they were acting post October 7th. And we're going to get into some of those stories. She didn't say anything that was like, I don't like Jews or I hate Jews or anything like that. When she says Christ is King, or when she interviewed that Rabbi Barkley and she said, what's her name's a hag. They were looking for stuff to call her anti-Semitic. Christ is King. That's anti-Semitic. That's horseshit. That's looking for reasons to fire. And then my point is, Adam, I think you're missing the point. Ben Shapiro had been saying, hey, I don't make decisions. I'm just there. That's horseshit. Him and who's the CEO? Jeremy Boring. If you don't think they had a conversation after the Rabbi Shmuley where she was just talking to him about spitting facts, she's like, so what about the deaths? What about the innocent people? And Rabbi Shmuley, who I think is completely unhinged on all levels, it happened right after that. They were like, you know what? No more of her saying anything about Israel. We gotta get rid of her. It happened. It had immediately after that.
I don't see any problem with a Christian saying Christ is King. Well, it's
your Lord and Savior.
It's not.
Well, what do you mean? The whole Jewish...
That's not anti-Semitic whatsoever.
A lot of people in the Jewish community...
As a Jew, I'm telling you, you can say Christ is King, or as a Muslim, you can say, Allah Akbar, 0 problem.
But that guy in the Daily Wire, you said there's no other Jews. Yes, there is. It's that other guy. Who's
Andrew Klavan.
Yeah, Andrew
He's
Klavan.
not Jewish.
Wait, what do you mean?
He's like a Jew for Jesus kind of...
Wait, time out. That guy's not Jewish?
I actually don't know
Adam,
the situation.
Can you go to him? I think he is Jewish, and he said that Christ
is
is
born again or something.
Whatever it is. Is it in there?
He's not Ben Shapiro. That's all.
No, he's not. He's not Ben Shapiro. But what I'm saying is, it's as if they were looking for reasons. Adam, if I called, look at this freaking girl. She's a hag, and you on the cuff can be like, you know what? In 1700s, that was an anti-Semitic.
I think
you're looking for.
Let me just say this, and let's move on to the next story. I think there is stuff that happened behind closed doors. I think there's also performance. I think there is, when one person gets more attention than another, I think it can be frustration. I think it can be, feel like I'm in a box and I have to do what you guys are wanting to do. You're just like Fox. And who knows, maybe that's what it is. And maybe it's like behind closed doors, she's challenging them constantly. Who knows? But those types of things, is very likely for it to happen.
I think it was
but if you're making that argument you made that he's making, you have to show proof with statements.
Yeah.
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying to you. So, for example, if somebody asks me,
but statements
like for example, for me, hey, it's either Mario or him. I'm choosing Mario. You understand what story I just said right there? Guess what? It's very simple. Yeah. It's not even a question about it. Of course. So, and that position ends right there, bro. You're not more important than Mario.
Yep.
I'm not even having a debate. Okay, got it. Hey, this is what we're doing. Got it. Hey, this is what we're doing. But if I say, imagine if I say something like this. Imagine if I say, well, there comes a time where to be a host, if your body fat percentage is above 35%, what are you talking about? If you say it's that, give me proof. Mm-hmm. And if there's proof, then we say totally makes sense. Okay? If there's proof. That's all I'm saying. And so you have to be very, very technical when you're saying this, because you're also indirectly could potentially hurt that person's career wherever they go to next. This is a very fickle space. There's a lot of talent that at one point, they were everywhere. You saw them everywhere. Boom, like this, done. Yep. Because something surrounded their reputation. That is not cool. This is how these people make a living, and this is a very difficult job to be a part of. Constant pressure, daily pressure. You're trying to have kids. You're trying to have a family. It is not easy. And by the way, even with Ben, when Ben is walking across the street, and I remember one time Nick was coming up to him and, saying stuff to him. He's with his wife and his kids. Have you ever seen this when he's crossing the light?
Which Nick?
Your guy that was on your podcast. Oh, I'm also not a fan of that. Yeah. I'm not a fan of that. So these are not things I'm a fan of, because I think Ben over the years, I'm not a fan of this kind of stuff. This guy's with his kids. This is Boca Raton.
Who's this guy?
Nick Fuentes. Keep playing the clip rap. Is this the one that he's crossing the light with his? Yeah, you see, let me tell you, bro. Oh, dude, that you can pause it right there. I am not a fan of that, dude. You come like that with kids around me. I am not a fan of that. I will give you respect. Walk side with me. Can I talk to you for a minute? No problem. I'm not a fan of this kind of stuff, and I think Ben is very necessary. I just think you can't make an accusation like that if that's the position he's taken without breaking down exactly what it is.
I will find out what happened there, I'm sure. But I'll give one more anecdote here. Culture is huge in a company. We know that. What you always say is that culture eats strategy for breakfast, Steve Jobs, right? Yeah. So look, when you look at the Daily Wire, respect to those guys, I would classify them as like deep intellectuals. Ben Shapiro, they're very like, kind of like the Tom thing, like they're very Harvard graduate, business school driven, very policy driven, smart guys. And great, that works for some people. Candace Owens, we've spent a good amount of time with her. She's just chill and cool as hell. So I've seen them do their sort of roundtable stuff. They're hanging out, they're smoking cigars, they're talking trash, they're kind of doing their thing. I think from a cultural fit, I just don't think that she fit there in that crew. I think there's a lot of other companies out there that she fits better.
But say that.
Yeah.
Say that. So the cause for it not working out is that instead of something else. You know what I'm saying? It's like back in high school. She's a hoe. She's a work out. Mm-hmm. And bro, you're like, we had a girl, and she had a boyfriend. One guy she was with. Okay, and she left him. Okay. The guy went around telling do you know for like 5 years everybody thought she was one? And then you know what happened 5 years later? She's been with 2-3 guys. No one ever came out that anything ever happened, even when you're drunk, acting stupid, and we're all in the space. But the guy eventually said, nah, man, she was never one. I was just an idiot kid that said something like this because I didn't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. Running a business is a lot of pressure, guys, on how to handle it. So I think Daily Wire is learning on how to run their company. It's not easy. We're all learning. Trust me, operating is very, very, very difficult. Yep. The world can say whatever the hell they want to say. When you're in the kitchen making decisions on how to do everything and food tastes like shit, you get the heat when the food tastes like crap. But if you're in the kitchen and you put some food that tastes amazing, what do people say? What a great chef. Not every day is going to be perfect, and you don't make all the good decisions, and that's totally fine. And I wish both of them the best in business. They're both necessary. We'll see what happened there. Yep. All right, let's go to the next one. Thanks for that commentary. All right, let's go. What do we got here next? Okay, I want to go to the Louisiana one. Tom, what page is the Louisiana one? It's a great story. 15. There we go. And I'm coming to you with this one, Tom. So Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry calls for policy change after LSU women's basketball misses national anthem. So the governor calls for policy mandating student athletes presence during the national anthem, citing respect for those who serve. Landry emphasizes it is time that all college boards put a policy in place that student athletes be present for the national anthem or risk their athletic scholarship. He went that far. LSU's women's basketball team faces criticism for missing national anthem before their regional final game against Iowa. Video footage shows Iowa players holding hands during the anthem while LSU, Rob, if you got the clip of that, I'd love to show to the audience what it actually looks like. And while LSU players left the court beforehand, Coach Kim Mulkey described the absence as routine, stating, honestly, I don't even know when the anthem was played. The Tigers' absence during the national anthem has drawn attention, with reports indicating that they haven't been present for it all season, including last year's national championship. Play this clip, Rob. Go ahead. So this is them right now. You don't see them. You see Iowa holding hands.
This is before the game, obviously, right?
This is, you're singing the national anthem. They're not here.
Wow. Disrespect.
Okay.
And they lost this game?
Yes.
Weird karma.
Can you go to the actual clip of what he says on news?
Can I ask you a question? Did they walk off PBD, or did they don't just show up?
No, they leave after practice. They come to practice and they leave. National anthem, they sing, then they come.
That's on purpose. Come on, man.
Go ahead, Rob. Play this clip.
Break.
Neither USC or UConn lady basketball teams were present for their national anthems before the Elite Eight game on Monday night. So to your point, this is other colleges too. I have to let it stay there. But when they come out per your policy change here, would they have to stand?
Well, listen, again, that's what the university should put in place. They should. Everybody should respect the flag. If you don't like it, well, guess what? You don't have to play the sport. I would hope that all of the Final Four teams would be out there respecting our nation and letting everyone know that we're united under one flag.
Well, Governor, let us know what you hear back from the College Board and where you
Tom,
get with this.
what are your thoughts on this?
I think he's making a good point. And you have to think about the following. A scholarship athlete is going to school because they've got academic or athletic ability, and they are given a free education paid for by the taxpayers, and they go to, in the case of these state
It's very important for you to say that, Tom. Say that one more time. Who pays? So when a kid gets scholarship from a public college, what does that mean? Who's paying for that?
The taxpayers are giving you a scholarship for free because money is in the hands of the university to do so. Those universities are funded by the state, by the taxpayers. I'm talking about the public schools. Ivy League, by the way, gives no scholarships whatsoever for sports. It's in their charter. But he's saying, hey, I'm Louisiana. I'm the governor. This is my state. I want to do this for my state. If you're not present for the anthem, you're not respecting, because what is going on at universities? We have ROTC. We usually recognize the colors and have the color guard and have our men and women. He's like, if we're doing this, I want you out there and I want you to be present. And he wasn't saying that you have to salute or do something. He's saying be present out of respect. And then he says, hey, that's what I'm going to do in Louisiana. And I'm calling on the rest of college boards to adopt this. All he's saying is, this is what I'm doing. This is how I feel. And I think the rest of college should do it too. And if you got a scholarship from the people, and the people we're here to respect our ROTC and our men in color, I think you should be here and respect them.
How do you feel about this, Adam? I'm going to come to you first. How do you feel about this? Kids not walking up and coach saying, no, let's stay in the locker room and then we come after national anthem.
This is on one person and one person only, the coach. Okay, so I played college sports. I know how this operates. I've been to a million games before. You have the warm-ups. You go to the bench. You do the national anthem, the game starts. Why the hell are you going to the locker room after warm-ups? What's going on there? Didn't they say 2 other colleges missed the national anthem as well?
UConn and somebody else.
So I'm actually super grateful this happened. Why? So we can have this conversation. So if they didn't do this, or if nobody called this out, then how long would this linger and go on for? I've said this a million times. There's one thing that every kid has to do as part of their day. If you're an American, say the Pledge of Allegiance. Like this anti-American, anti-patriotism, Marxist, wokist, socialist thing that's going on with Gen Z especially, I ain't for that. So this situation right here, I guarantee you the next time LSU has a game, they're going to be there for the national anthem. I guarantee you UConn, who I think is playing Iowa. By the way, Iowa's incredible. This girl, Caitlin Clark, is ridiculous. Yeah. She'll be there for the national anthem. So, but part of America's DNA is protesting. It's kind of what the revolution was all about. 1968, the Olympics, the two guys in Mexico, whether Tommy Smith, John Carlos, you could probably find that picture if you go to the Black Power salute in 1968. That's what America is. That's great. Even Colin Kaepernick, he has the right to protest. Yeah. People also have the right to say, fuck you, NFL. Yeah. I ain't going to your games. There it is right there. That's what America is. But just not showing up to the national anthem, I don't think we play that game.
And I think individually, though, I think we're missing a point, too. Like, so, Adam, question, though. So when the college, I mean, I obviously played in high school, but would that be a decision that the coach makes and you're in the locker room and you as just an American, can I have been like, yo, they're playing the national anthem? Yeah. I want to stand out there because I don't know what's happened in the last, 8 years where
players have walked out alone for the national anthem.
I would respect that 100%. And in this case, look how karma works. They lost the game. But and great point, Tom. I personally, this is just me. I would have obviously been out there, especially as a veteran. But my thing is this anti-American rhetoric stance, especially from these athletes that think that they're somewhat better than everybody else and they know how to. And I get it, Adam, just because you have the right to do something doesn't make it right. Because, and you nailed it, Megyn Rapinoe, whatever the hell. The hell with America. You're making millions playing a sport. Colin Kaepernick, LeBron James. It's shitting on this place that has done everything for you. LeBron James is a freaking billionaire, but that flag and everything, it's an anti-American sentiment. And I say that to anybody like them that's taking that type of stance, and you nailed it. It is on the coach, but the players themselves, where are you at? Get your ass out there and give props to a country that is still number one, regardless of how evil and repressed you think we are.
And there's a lunacy. There's a lunacy to protest outside the United States, and let me explain it to you. In the United States, you can protest because you have, under that flag, a constitution that gives you freedom of speech. Yep. So you can protest. Would you like to go to China and see what government platform is there and what happens if you attempt to protest? Yeah. Would you like to go to parts of Russia and find out what happens if you protest under that platform? Would you like to go to Indonesia and be a non-Muslim and protest that platform? You should be saluting the flag and thanking your personal God, whoever you choose that to be, even if it's yourself, to the agnostics and the atheists, to say, I am so glad I have a platform here where I can protest for change. They don't see it that way. They're burning down the house while they're standing inside it, and they don't understand it. Would you like to be somewhere else? Yeah. Go check it out.
And you nailed it. In North Korea, there was a documentary, Pat, and Adam, I don't know if you guys saw this. There was a documentary.
Oh, protesters. Let me tell you, you go from protest to the actuarial table really fast in North Korea.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, North Korea, this the doctor went there, and there was a bunch of people with major, I think cataracts, Tom, when they were all blind. This doctor went in there, gave them all sight. Right when they saw sight, the first thing they did? They ran and started crying and praying basically to Kim Jong-un photo, which I found out later. Yeah. If they go into your house, if the government goes in your house, and you don't have Kim Jong-un's photo right there, you're gone. You disappear. You're in a freaking work camp. Think about that. And these people are over here disrespecting our flag. Get out of here. Get out of my face.
And if you come into Valuetainment, first thing you see,
it's you. Biden is like we.
Yeah, I pray to him every morning.
Every morning.
I think that there's a part of that that's pride. If you do it from a standpoint of pride, it's like the whole thing. You can spend $500 and get a business card and start a small business at the DBA local place, and call yourself a CEO. Mm-hmm. You can do that. You can call yourself a CEO all day you want. If other people don't call you a CEO, you ain't a CEO. When others start calling you their CEO and they look at you as that, that's a different story. If the pride of somebody putting a picture of a leader on the wall is by choice, nothing wrong with that. If it's by force, problem.
Can I make one last comment?
Yeah.
I'm reading the end of the story. They're saying the Tiger, by the way, they won the national championship last year. By the way, just full disclaimer, the fact that we're talking about women's college basketball
is amazing.
Somewhat ridiculous, but it is sort of pertinent.
She is a beast, though.
Oh, this girl, she's the best player in the country, Caitlin Clark, Iowa. But LSU, who won the national championship last year, This is who they lost to this time. That's who they beat last year. I can't believe I know this women's college basketball information. But here's what they said. The Tigers' absence during the national anthem has drawn attention with reports indicating that they haven't been present for it all season, including last year's national championship. Guys, with respect to the coach, I don't even know the coach's name. Nobody gives a shit about your college basketball. Show up to the national anthem.
I agree.
Okay, you have Governor Bobby Boucher of Louisiana out here coming on the TV talking about it.
Do what you want to do.
Jeff Landry.
Or Bob. I like Bobby Boucher better.
Guys, get out there for the national anthem. Period.
Yeah.
Next story. Denver official seen telling new migrants to leave. New York gives you more. Chicago gives you more. How crazy is this story, right? Denver's recently appointed newcomer, communications liaison, Andres. By the way, Rob, if you have a video on this, I want to play this video. Andres Carrera was caught on video pleading with newly arrived illegal aliens to turn around and leave the city immediately because the opportunities are over in the welcoming city of Denver. Play this clip, Rob. Go ahead.
Recibido demasiados migrantes y por eso se acabaron los recursos. Mira, no te vamos a bloquear. Si quieres permanecer aquí, no estoy aquí para bloquearte. Estoy aquí para avisarte que tu camino no ha terminado. Si permanecen aquí, vas a sufrir.
Wow.
If you stay here, you're going to suffer.
Wow. Let me read this here. New York gives you more. Chicago gives you more. So I suggest you go there where there's a longer-term shelter. There also are more job opportunities there. He continues, we have received too many immigrants, and this is why we ran out of resources. We are not going to block you if you want to stay here. I mean, can you imagine, like, it's even to the point where he's realizing our policies suck, and we're running out of people's money to spend.
And he said go to New York. He said go to New York?
Yeah. Tom.
This is the law of unintended consequences in full bloom and spring flowers, ladies and gentlemen. They sit there and so you have the blue bloc, and Colorado is now part of the blue bloc of the West, as they call it, that are like, oh, we need an open border. Oh, we need this. Oh, all you other people are racist and you don't have a heart. And now they're landing in the cities, and the cities are being asked to come up with solutions, and the voters are coming to strangle the cities. Just ask Chicago. Chicago mayor, has been, absolutely pilloried by people and the press for mismanaging this. And now you got blue cities fighting with each other saying, it really sucks here. And by the way, the snow god is coming, and you're going to really hate Denver when the snow god shows up. So maybe you should go to Chicago or New York. And it's just what? It's unintended consequences. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't say, oh, come on in. Trump's an idiot. Don't go. That wall is so inhumane and everything. And then when they get here and saying, I can't do anything for you, go away.
Yeah. That's funny. It's almost like the Martha Vineyard thing. You know what happened with the Martha's Vineyard? Remember when Abbott was shipping in the Martha's Vineyard? They got rid of the majority of them. The ones that they kept? Guess what they are now?
What's that?
Help. They're cleaning, they're cutting lawns, they're doing laundry, they're maids now. The ones that stayed. So Martha Vineyard were like, the ones that want to work, keep them, and then ship the rest of them out. But why wouldn't you ship them to New York? What a good pitch. Go to New York, you'll get $1,300 a month. They're going to give you a debit card. You could punch.
Cell phone too.
You can beat the shit out of cops, and guess what? Walk right out of jail. That's actually a really good pitch.
And squat in a house for 30 days and it's yours.
Dude, let's go to New York.
You know what this story reminds me of, PBD? It's kind of like juxtaposition of what everything you stand for. Like, I love the story you tell about when you were living in California and you were on a recruitment visit or being recruited by Governor Rick Perry from Texas. Hey, Mr. David, come on down to Texas. We got low taxes and low regulation. And you're going to come on down. You're going to bring your all PHP. You're going to help some people start your business, save yourself 13% taxes. That's recruiting and free enterprise. Right? And capitalism, this is the exact opposite. This is like recruiting for Marxist, socialist, open border handouts. Yeah. It's like, hey, they have better benefits over there, bro. Go over there.
Yeah, here, man.
So it's just the juxtaposition of the free enterprise capitalist system moving from a state that empowers a business versus, hey, there's free shit over there. Go that way.
Get out of here. 4 words. Yep. 4 words. Bad policies have consequences. That's exactly what it is. Keep coming up with bad policies. It's just a matter of time till common sense takes over, because people can be manipulated. Everybody can be manipulated. But the difference between one and the other, is the timeline of how long you're manipulated, okay? There's not a single soul in the world that can't be manipulated. Not a single one. All of us are part of that camp. A form of a prank is a form of manipulation, right? Is that fair to say? Yeah, you got me. Like, oh, you got me, right? Okay, got it. So, but manipulation, eventually a person's going to sit there and say what? A day later, if you're still manipulated, okay, cool. Month later, cool. Year later, come on, bro, you're just lazy. If 5-10 years later you're still manipulated, you deserve exactly what you're getting.
I agree.
Okay, you deserve exactly what you're getting. But for the most part, you're either going to have your common sense people that are going to get rowdy and say stuff, or guess what happens with the common sense people? Mm-hmm. They leave. You know why? Because common sense people are always in demand no matter where they go, period. It's just like a great friend. Screw over a great friend. Don't worry. He's going to be a great friend to somebody else, just not you. Okay? Screw over a great husband, great wife. Don't worry. He will be to somebody else, just not you. Screw over any great boss, employee. Don't worry. They're going to be a great friend or an employee to somebody else. These guys are dumb for making the policies. They're paying the price for it, and that's exactly what they deserve. Common sense people lead the way. Okay, next. California, here we go. LA's luxury houses sales plummet 70% amid mansion tax launch. Just another brilliant idea coming out of the great state of California. Here we go. 1 year after its launch, LA's mansion tax, levying a 4% tax on properties priced between $5 million and $10 million, has led to a 68% drop in luxury house sales, significantly below its fundraising target. Real estate developer Houman Ghaffari criticized the policy as ineffective, labeling it a sham that fails to meet its goal while rendering new developments financially unfeasible, despite generating $215 million. Only 22% of the $900 million target. The city defends the policy, citing a gradual increase in revenue. Greg Good from LA's housing department argues that the funds are crucial for aiding distressed tenants and accelerating affordable housing projects. Wow, Tom. So, Tom, I'm honestly reading this. I'm flabbergasted that this is actually happening. I have my own thoughts I'm going to give. It's a very weird twist I'm going to take, but I want to hear your thoughts, Tom.
Okay, I'm going to give you a warning to Californians. So they needed 900 million target. So you have to read behind the lines, not between the lines. You got to read behind the lines because they hide. And they needed to raise 900 million target. And they said, hey, man, let's just tax. Do your Bernie Sanders, tax the billionaires. Yeah.
Tax the billionaires.
Exactly. Okay. So that's what they're going to do. So we're going to tax the mansions. Every time they sell a mansion, we're going to do that. And we'll make $1 million. High five, Brent. Everything. It's all fine. It's going to work, right? Wait. Now watch.
Yeah.
They mess with capitalism. They mess with market forces. And what did market forces said? Market forces said, wow, that's a hot stove. I'm going to back off of it. That's what happens in market forces. Things move around. It's not isolated. They raised only $215 million. Warning Californians, warning Angelenos, they're looking for $685 million. They needed 900. They only got 215. Stand by, brace for impact, LA. Here comes more gas tax. Here comes other things. They got to make up that money because they're seeking it. So point number one, the unintended consequence strikes again. Bad policies have consequences. The market said, I'm not interested in that tax, so I don't want to. And they don't make their money, but they're looking for 685 California, and they're coming for you.
And how are they implementing? Is this on a sale price? Is this on a property tax? Is this...
What the hell?
When we started this in 2020, I remember you gave this symbolism. How much of this are you going to take? Right? If you push someone, you push someone, you push someone.
I stop pushing them. I'm Bernie Sanders.
At some point, people in LA are like, dude, I can't even.
Get out of my personal space.
Yeah,
stop pushing me.
In LA, 5 to 10 million ain't exactly like 20 million and up. Now we're talking big houses.
Yeah.
The average house in LA is like
it's at least
$1 million.
It's at least $1 million for sure. Yeah. That's crazy.
Now, here you go. Just type in, how does LA mansion tax work? Yeah. Okay, type it up.
Not well.
The so-called mansion tax in LA applies to property sales of $5 to $10 million.
Sales.
Properties over $5 million incur an additional 4%, while properties costing over $10 million cost another 5.5%.
Oh,
let me tell you.
we go there.
By the way, you know what that is? That's $550,000.
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, so that means if, oh my God, this is such a.
How happy are you that you got the hell out of California 10 years
It's an understatement, but let me tell you what angle this is. The same clowns that said realtors shouldn't get paid their 6% commission want the 4 and a 5.5% commission. Who the hell are you? So that means LA County officially became a realtor and pay me the commission for not doing anything with the work. And then I'm going to give the money to homeless people because I've done such a good job, everybody in LA, with homeless folks, that I'm going to clean it up. Trust me, we're going to clean it up. Oh, yeah, we definitely trust you to clean it up. Your reputation doesn't show that you can be trusted, but yeah, we're doing this. 4% and 5.5% in taxes. Who do you trust more to keep that money, a realtor or the city? Give it to the realtor. Stop arguing with the realtor, making the money. Negotiate. Allow the numbers to be taking place. This is like a slap in the face for LA realtors, by the way. So you know what this works out to be? So imagine you're a realtor. You're selling a $10 million house. Say I'm trying to sell my house for $10 million. Now the guy that's selling the house has to sit there and say, honey, you realize if we sell this house for $10 million, we're paying 6% to the realtor. We're paying 5.5% for this. We're paying $1.1 million to sell a $10 million house.
What?
That means we sold it only for $8.9 million, and that's not even including the capital gains taxes I have to pay and the 13% taxes I have to pay. So let's just say this guy bought this house at $6 million. Let's just actually do the math. He buys it for $6 million, Tom. Let's do it the right way. $6 million, sells it for $10 million, okay? And he gives his realtor 6%, okay, plus 5.5%. Let's just say that's 1.1 million. He bought it at 6 million. What do you have to pay? What other kind of taxes do you have to pay on
Okay,
it?
so now we're at 8.9 in hand, and we have 6 we can deduct. So the government's going to say, now you have to pay taxes on 2.9. So the 2.9, the capital gains and the California, that's going to come up to, if they don't take a housing exemption, and we'll stay away from that. So that's going to be 39.5 and 13 California.
56?
53, I think 52.
Okay.
52.
Okay, so put 52 on 2.9.
1.4.
So check
no,
this out.
1.5. 1.5 on the nose.
So Vinny, you bought the house at $6 million.
Easy money.
You sold it at $10 million.
Okay.
You made $4 million in profit, but after every fee you paid, you only keep 1.5 million of the $6 million.
No,
that's correct. Million. That's what happened.
Ridiculous.
That's what just happened.
That's not. I'm not selling it. It's stupid.
Welcome to California, where the
oh my God! What?
You understand what just happened, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So guess what? That's what just happened.
Oh God!
The
$4 million profit. I only walk away with 1.5.
$1.5 million.
The state tax commissioner. Do you know this guy, Dover? Right? Benjamin Dover. He goes by Ben.
Ben Dover?
That's
His
him.
name is Ben Dover?
That's him.
Holy damn.
It's a state tax commissioner in California.
He's bending you over, literally and figuratively.
By the way, as much as we're laughing about this.
It's not funny.
As much as we're laughing about this, California, please understand, they don't like you if you're rich.
Yeah.
They don't, unless if you're in pockets that they can use you, like, certain Burbank because it's Hollywood, certain areas in, Silicon Valley, if you vote a certain way, they'll leave you alone. Certain areas, everywhere else, they're coming for you selling your houses for certain property. They're going to get that money from you. Eventually, you're going to get so many of these guys that leave, just like Adam just left to go use the restroom.
Just like that.
Gonna happen.
It's weird.
It's because we raised the P tax on the podcast.
Got you.
We raised it. And he's
and I was like, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it.
He's just fed up, and he had to kind of go handle the situation.
I was so disgusted by this taxes.
You had to release. I get it.
Totally. All right, next story here, which may excite you a little bit, Adam. NATO plans $100 billion. Oh,
yeah.
NATO plans $100 billion Trump-proof fund for Ukraine. This is a Financial Times story. NATO has drawn up plans to secure a 5-year military aid package of up to $100 billion in an attempt to shield Ukraine from winds of political change that could usher in a second Trump presidency. The so-called mission for Ukraine proposal, which will be discussed by NATO foreign ministers on Wednesday, is being put forward by the Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. According to 5 alliance diplomats briefed on the plan, it would coordinate an estimated $100 billion in support by 32 members of military alliance. Stoltenberg has pitched the proposal as a means to shield the mechanism against the winds of political change. Hence, Trump, according to people briefed on his remarks, if approved, it would also give alliance control of the U.S.-led Ramstein Weapons Support Group and allow it to manage the supply of lethal weapons to Ukraine for the first time since Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022. Again, in the life insurance policy business, there's something called an ILIT, individual irrevocable life insurance trust. What irrevocable life insurance trust is, let's just say you get married and you buy a $10 million policy, $5 million policy. You can buy an irrevocable life insurance trust on your life for your wife. That means irrevocable. You can't change the beneficiary, okay?
It sticks with her no matter what.
It sticks with her no matter what. So your wife is not going to worry about 2 years later you guys get a divorce and you change the beneficiary to Beth instead of Mary, okay? It's going to be a new person getting that. It's irrevocable, okay?
Even if they both parties go, we don't...
It's irrevocable.
Wow. It's done deal.
Irrevocable,
Okay.
yeah. It's irrevocable. So what Zelensky and Ukraine is doing, they're trying to get $100 billion irrevocable funding aid to them, even if Trump gets elected. What? So that means if you change your wife or your whatever you do, if you change your wife to somebody else, you still have to support your ex-wife. Hence, Zelensky is the ex-wife of U.S. if Trump gets elected. That's exactly what this is. Tom, anything different than what I just said?
No, you're absolutely correct. It becomes like a 401k or an IRA for future bribery. So it's like it ensures that the bribes can keep going, the graft can keep flowing, and it saves Zelensky the trouble of ironing the green shirt to come to Congress and do speeches begging for aid.
Zelensky's become an annoying like baby mama. Like I'm sick and tired of hearing him complaining. Like, dude, really, you're setting it up to where it's Trump proof to not let you launder money. That's absolutely ridiculous. How far is it along? Are they saying that it's going to happen?
I mean, I hope not.
And by the way, who are they protecting? Are they protecting who they're giving the money?
Of course,
is it
it's
Zelensky, or is it who Zelensky then gives the money?
No,
to?
Tom. How many times are we gonna find out stories where this guy got caught with $4 million, this guy got caught with $40 million? It's not even pretending anymore. We all know what the hell it's about.
I was trying to paint the picture for people who maybe haven't heard us previously.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right.
More and more people are watching the podcast, so maybe they didn't know. It's like Zelensky takes this money, and all of a sudden, generals, economic guys, and everything are driving a Bentley. They're trying to avoid bombs, but they're driving a Bentley.
Yeah, Rob. Can you go to Politico, go to Google and type this up? Type in Ukraine is at great risk of its front lines collapsing. Okay, front lines collapsing. Okay, go to Politico. It should be a political story. Tom, look at this here story.
It's like plastic surgery failure to me.
By the way, this is from what date? Can you give us the date on this, Rob? Maybe go up a little bit to see if we have a date or lower. April 3rd, which is what? 2 days ago, right? Or what's today's date? Yes. Today's the 4th? Today's the 4th. Okay, go up to the top of the story. All right, so Ukraine is at great risk of its front lines collapse, and according to high-ranking Ukrainian officers, the military picture is grim, and Russian generals could find success wherever they decide to focus their upcoming offensive. I thought Ukraine was winning.
Oh, I thought...
And I thought Politico's a paper from the left. How dare Politico write an offensive article like this? Why would Politico do such an irresponsible paper here?
Well, this doesn't make any sense unless somebody from the establishment Democrat Party asks them to write something in support of the foreign aid. Wait, oh my gosh.
What?
Elon Musk says Russia will certainly gain more land in Ukraine. He said that 4 days ago. Go a little lower, Rob. Elon Musk predicts Russia will gain more land. Musk says he believes Ukraine should focus on defending its territory instead of attacking. Musk SpaceX initially sent thousands of Starlink terminals to Ukraine, but relations have since cooled. Yeah, because you don't remember what they said to Musk? Do you forget what they called Musk? Trashing him. And finally Musk was like, screw you, I'm turning it off. Go a little lower, Rob.
About the Neuralink?
Yeah.
Or Starlink, sorry.
It was a tragic waste of life for Ukraine to attack a larger army that had defense in-depth minefields and stronger artillery when Ukraine lacks armor or air superiority superiority, any fool could have predicted that. Musk said this on Twitter. Okay, formerly known as Twitter. Go ahead, X.
Okay, let me weigh in on this. I think it's the best move they can possibly make if you're NATO. Where they fail. I love the insurance analogy. I think it was Coach Bear Bryant that famously said, offense wins games, but defense wins championships. You better put some defense in place, because if Trump is elected, the rhetoric he has used is, we're going to solve this in one day. And a lot of people are inclined to believe that that means he's just going to let Russia take Ukraine. So from an American perspective, America first over here, that's not the biggest deal to us. But if you're talking Poland and Finland and Sweden and Lithuania and Estonia and Latvia and everything going on over there, yeah, they got some worries about Russia, bro. They're very worried. And that the Prime Minister of Norway, he was the former Prime Minister of Norway, now he runs NATO, Jan Stoltenberg, he better do this, because there's a good chance, based on Trump's rhetoric, that he's just going to let literally Putin do whatever the hell you want. So there should be some concerns. I think one of the best things that Trump should have ever done, marketing-wise, he said, build a wall, lock her up, drain the swamp, all these three-word phrases, make NATO pay. Not sure how he missed that one as a brilliant marketer. But he's holding NATO to the fire. He's making them pay, and he's holding them accountable. They have been paying more since Trump's been saying that. But if I'm those countries, I would implement this insurance policy and play defense.
Tom?
I think NATO's trying to protect NATO. NATO wanted to expand into Ukraine. NATO wanted to expand NATO. And NATO's trying to protect NATO. The question is, the loss of life that's gone on both sides here is pretty ridiculous. And the Ukraine, let's step back from it and look objectively. Ukraine was the breadbasket of Europe. This was the Midwest farmland of Europe when you take a look at Europe. And that has been lost. Prices are up. Huge loss of life. We need a ceasefire, and we need to get this thing back to sanity and back to the borders, where they were. And we're in this intractable, long, drawn-out proxy war where we keep flooding, all the war hawks keep flooding money into Ukraine, hoping we're going to hold back Russia, whereas Elon Musk is right. All the propaganda and everything, Ukraine is winning, keep giving them more, they're almost going to win. A little more, we're almost there, a little bit more, we're almost there. A
couple billion more.
Yep, it's tragic. But this is NATO protecting NATO. NATO's interests are expand NATO. And so, of course, they want to fund so they can keep trying.
Well, let's talk about something important, like Biden directs NASA to create a standard time for the moon. Meaning,
this is what I want to discuss.
What Biden's worried about is what time zone is the moon going to be on. Trying to watch a game, you don't miss it because you need a time zone, right?
Very smart.
This, and some people are thinking this is a joke. This is not a joke. This is a real story. Here we go. The White House has directed NASA to establish Coordinated Lunar Time, LTC, by 2026, aiming for international consensus and synchronization among lunar emissions. Arati Prabhakar emphasized the importance, stating, imagine if the world wasn't syncing their clocks to the same time, how disruptive that might be and how challenging everything becomes. LTC is vital for data security and communication synchronization among spacecraft, lunar satellites, bases, and astronauts. Kevin Goggins, NASA Space Communication and Navigation Chief, highlighted the necessity, stating, you're going to want a heartbeat on the moon, emphasizing the significance of LTC for precision in lunar operations. While the U.S. leads LTC definitions, achieving accuracy and resilience in the lunar environment will require international agreements among spacefaring nations, as stated in the OSTP memo. Little weird. Are you guys talking to aliens? Like, who are you negotiating this with? Tom, how do you process the story?
Well, I process it like some poor American astronaut's going to go back to the moon, and then he's going to leave. And at the moment he leaves, you're going to send him a radio transmission. It's daylight savings time. Did you change the clocks back? He's like, oh, crap. And he's going to get back, and he's going to get fired because he didn't change the clocks back. I think this is, look, I think they have figured out standards. If we can get satellites and the Hubble telescope and things to Jupiter and take pictures and get them back, I think we've figured out how to get things into space and get them back. And establishing CST, Lunar Standard Time, is really bad marketing, because I think Biden should be working on his marketing better, talking about more things that relate to, like the economy and stuff. You should be marketing his great accomplishments in the economy rather than talking about getting clocks on the moon.
Adam.
Well, I mean, to all the people that think that Biden is just completely a space cadet, boom, there you go. You got some evidence right there. I actually think he's given a shout out to
I have
President
to interrupt you
Trump
and say I'm agreeing with you, finally.
Tom, interrupting. That never happens.
Back to square one. Back to square one.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Thanks, Tom. But I actually think he's giving a shout out to Trump right now, because we all know in 2019, Trump took a lot of heat for creating what, Vinny?
Where my sister works.
Space Force.
My sister works there. Right now, she's in Los Angeles working for the Space Force, and she won't tell me anything. And she's not getting shit for Christmas, because I'm like, are there aliens? Veronique Ocean.
Veronique, do me a favor. Continue not telling Vinny anything. This guy will flap his gums at the quickest second.
Excuse me, I'm very good with secrets.
Anyway,
I had top secret
clearance. I think Biden's just continuing Trump's legacy.
Dear God.
We all know that Space Force is part of the Air Force.
Yeah,
weren't you part of the U.S. Air Force?
I was in the Air Force, but Space Force, and this is on some different stuff.
I'd love to see what Elon Musk has to say here with SpaceX. I'd love to see what Jeff Bezos has to say with Blue Origin. I'd love to see what NASA has to say. The final frontier, baby. Joe Biden. He's going for it.
Listen, with all the crap that we have going on this planet, I can give two shits what's happening on the moon. So I said this today to somebody. You know what somebody told me? And I'm the conspiracy theorist. They're like, you think we landed on the moon? I was like, here we go. That conversation went completely the other way. But dude, like, what are we doing, bro? Like, people are hungry. People are like starving in the streets here, and this is what we're talking about.
Hey, listen,
give me a break.
Tim Dillon called me an absolute stupid person because I'm questioning if there's aliens out here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he wants to know who the hell landed on the moon. Okay.
Oh, that's so
good for you guys.
Yeah, I can care less. But shout out to my sister.
PBD, you got any strong feelings on this? You ready to go to the moon? You ready to be an astronaut? I know how much you love heights.
Wanting to know time and moon and what all that stuff's going to be. Maybe if you have your satellites out there, maybe it matters if you have satellites and stuff out there. I don't know.
Like Y2K proof?
I don't know. Look, the fact that we're having NASA do its part and we have Space Force and they're active, I kind of want them to do what they're doing, because we're nothing compared to what's out there in the world, and we got to keep studying it to learn more about it. It's good for all of us to kind of explore more. But time zone, I don't know. All right, next. Texas University clears DEI office, lays off employees in light of new state law. So clears DEI office. Why would they do that? The University of Texas at Austin terminated dozens of employees in their diversity, equity, inclusion programs to adhere to new Texas law, resulting in the dissolution of Division of Campus and Community Engagement, with 60 related positions eliminated. University President Jay Hartzell underscored the compliance efforts with the new law, SB 17, emphasizing it is also important that this continues to be a welcome and supportive community for all, while ensuring student-facing roles remain for the semester and offering affected employees opportunities to apply for other positions. Tom?
Well, first of all, DEI dies again, and I hope it just keeps dying. So this is basically, remember, what is going on here? Well, there is a bill, and Texas did a bill, SB 17, and Texas said, as long as those universities are funded by us, and which is paid for by the taxpayers, we are making laws and rules of how things work around here, damn it. And SB 17 says DEI programs out. And what was interesting, the senator who was responsible for this, he said, listen, you know what? Higher education is supposed to be, brace for impact, folks, a merit-based environment. Merit, who scored more in a game? That's merit. There are no... merit, what grade did you get on the test? Merit, merit. How good are you so you can get an athletic scholarship or an academic scholarship? Merit. And we are going to address SB 17 things that were not merit-based, where we were forcing it. So thank you very much, University President Jay Hartzell, for cooperating and doing what the Texas legislators said with SB 17 and not pushing back on it. There's a lot of university people out there, Pat, even though they work for the people at state universities, they're pushing back on things like this. And hats off to the Texas and Austin, cooperating with the state, with the people's money, and saying DEI goes away. We're going to push more merit-based things back. And guess what? That's a victory for common sense, and it's another nail in the coffin for DEI, as it should be.
Yeah, and just to kind of echo what you were saying yesterday, when you nailed Isaac Newton's theory, when you said for every action is an equal opposite reaction, this is exactly what's going on here.
Like when you talk, I interrupt.
Exactly. It's just going to happen. This is DEI, as we all know. It sounds great in theory. When you bring it up, diversity, equity, inclusion, it's great. We've talked about this 100 times, but not in practice. You know, what do they say? The road to hell is paved in good intentions. For every... What was that?
Nothing.
Excuse me. Sounded like you good, Tom?
Yeah.
This just comes down to equilibrium. There was such a push for DEI and ESG, and then people were like, yes, let's do it. Let's implement it. Let's go on. Let's get the bureaucracy that's going on. And people are like, what the hell's going on here? Because DEI just basically means anti-straight white men, which is the majority of the country. I hate to break it to you. So there's a lot of people that push back, and now the government, universities are implementing this. We saw that University of Florida, shout out to the president, Ben Sass, who used to be a senator from Nebraska. He's a pretty sassy dude. He canceled that. So this is simply just a reversion back to meritocracy, which capitalism is the foundation of.
What were the 4 words you said, Pat? Bad
policies have consequences.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it's nothing working. These people, now they're starting to back off because they know that all that crap is BS.
All right, let's do this last one here and we'll wrap up. Trump leads Biden in 6 of 7 swing states. New polling shows President Joe Biden trails former President Donald Trump in 6 out of 7 battleground states, with Trump leading in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, according to recent polling from Wall Street Journal. Biden's biggest deficit in North Carolina, a state Trump narrowly won in 2020, while only 28% of the swing voters believe Biden, age 81, has better physical chance and mental fitness to handle the White House, despite both candidates. Both candidates high unfavorability ratings in the presence of third-party candidates. RFK, who is polling whether 7 and 15% across the 7 battlegrounds. Pollsters believe these voters could swing towards either Trump or Biden, with Kennedy drawing more support from potential Trump voters. Adam.
Well, this should be very alarming for the Biden campaign. Because, look, when we talked about the election in 2020, we did a lot of national polls, what's going on. And there was a lot of don't believe the polls. But when you start looking at swing states, you better start getting very cautious for the Biden administration. Arizona, what is it? He's up what? Can we get a better graph here? Up 5. Georgia, up 1. Michigan, up 3. North Carolina, up 6. Holy shit. Nevada, 1. Pennsylvania. So I guess if I'm the Biden administration, I'm looking at this and saying, look, a few of the states are within the margin of error. But if you lose a couple of these dominoes, especially the blue wall, what do they call it, Tom? The blue wall up there?
Pennsylvania,
Wisconsin, Michigan. Boom, you're done. So what we don't know is Biden's floor and ceiling. We kind of know that Trump is locked in the low 40s. We know that. And then what we don't know is the X factor this time, which is RFK. There hasn't been a viable third-party candidate since Ross Perot in 1992. We took, 20% of the vote? RFK's coming. He's getting out there. He's a very credible candidate. I don't know if he's going to pull from Trump. I don't know if he's going to pull from Biden. I know that Trump's out there basically saying that he's the most whack job, liberal, leftist, progressive. I don't think so. I think he's pretty common sense. I think RFK is the person who's going to spoil the election for Trump or for Biden. And if I'm the Biden administration, I'm super skeptical of having Kennedy in the race.
I don't know. What time are you going to go? You can go ahead.
So what's very interesting here, Arizona, right now, Trump's every poll that comes out, these are just facts. Words talk, numbers scream. The polls keep moving up with Trump in Arizona, along with Kari Lake is now extending her lead incrementally. These are very tight races. A lot could happen between now and November, but it's moving. Georgia, outside of Atlanta, people are polling with voter sentiments are up at 7, 8s, and 9s on asking, was it unfair what the state of Georgia did with Trump? You know, what Fannie did. And it's yes. And so, and North Carolina, check this out. This right now at 28 points, Biden is down 16 points from where he was in the election in North Carolina. So North Carolina, Arizona, and Georgia, if those stay with Trump, Biden has to win all of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Because if he loses even one of those, and the likely one there is it's Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan in that order, with central Pennsylvania getting redder and redder. And so it's no wonder they're shocked. It's no wonder that they're freaking out. And what's also interesting is I saw an analysis that said that the 15% polling for Kennedy is probably 8 to 9% in the polling place. In other words, the polling that the third party gets is usually at this point, but they usually bring home about 60% of it, because once they get to go vote, there's a certain percent of those that thought it was a good idea, but then say, maybe I don't waste my vote, and it pulls back. But for Kennedy to be polling 12 to 15, that means he's probably going to take, 8 to 11 of that, which would be in line with Ross Perot. And if Trump takes Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina.
But let's not. I don't know. But, and again, I'm not a big
long time to go. Long way to go.
Polls, everything with polls and Hillary and everybody. But I don't know if you guys noticed this or not. I did a little bit of research. I was on X and I did my own digging that the number of voters registering without a photo ID has skyrocketed in 3 key swing states: Arizona, Texas, and Pennsylvania. Since the start of 2024, Texas, 1.25 million are registering, no photo ID, no nothing, just their social security number. In Pennsylvania, 580,000, Arizona, 220,000. The HAVA, Help America Vote Verification System, which coincides with HAVA, Have America Vote Again Act, allows voters to register with a social security number, 4 digits. That's it. Guys, these are all these people. Remember this open border. Remember that open border. Remember this tactic that I was telling everybody. It doesn't allow illegals to get licenses, but they can get social security cards for work authorization permits. And Tom, you talked about this a couple weeks ago about the Democrats. It was something along the playbook that they're using for Texas. Because you remember, California used to be a red state, correct? Republicans won 8 out of 9 presidential elections during the mid-'90s.
Reagan carried it.
Exactly. LA itself, the GOP won 6 out of 10 presidential elections. Then something changed, and you nailed it. In '86, Reagan cut a deal with the Dems and granted amnesty to millions and millions of illegals, and the majority of them residing in California. And then what happened? He get them the right to vote. And since then, the GOP has not won one single presidential election in California. If Texas, which has 40 electoral votes, goes away, California, the GOP will cease to exist. And that's the chart right there. So everybody that was asking about all these, where illegals and what are they doing? Guys, they're flying them into these places, and those are the most important places. And Pat, you said this on the town hall, 16 out of 50 states, no ID required to vote. 16 out of 12 out of the 532 electoral votes. 11 out of 50 states do not require a photo ID. 23 states are the only ones that need an ID. This is a playbook to the T. Hats off to the Democrats. This is their tactic to win. This is it.
PBD, let me give you some data. You're a big data guy. And one of the things that I think we should talk about is now there's a sample size for both. It was easy to say when Trump was first elected, the stock market's going to tank. Well, it actually did well. He's going to create a nuclear war. No, there was actually no wars. Biden gets in. He's stable. He's mental. He's a nice guy. Well, we have the proof is in the pudding. So pull up some of these charts. 72% of Americans, so if you look on the left, say that Biden is not mentally or physically fit to be the president. This was the narrative about why he was elected in 2020. Look, I don't care what you say. In 2020, a freaking ham sandwich could have beaten Donald Trump. The country was completely over him. They were just the rhetoric, the divisiveness, they were over it. But now that they've seen Biden, there's a lot of people, especially the movable middle, that are like, yeah, I'll take the mean tweets again, bro. But turns out, in these swing states, dude, Biden's polling as far as being physically and mentally ready to be the president in the 20s. Trump's at least in the 40s, high 40s in many states. Secondly, the top issues. If you go to the next one, Rob, Trump's crushing it on every single topic except for the one topic we talked about, the women's stuff.
Oh, the women's stuff, my bad.
Economy, he's up 20%. Immigration, he's up 20%. Mental and physical health, okay, up 20%. This is going to come down to women, is the abortion stuff. We saw what happened in the midterms. Last point, if you go to the last thing. Look at the coalition. You know, they talk about building a Big Tent party. The politics is about addition, not subtraction. Who can you add? Who can you add? Get the blacks, get the women, get the Hispanics, get the young people, get them all in here. Dude, he's trending the wrong way. In 2020, 91% of blacks were going to vote for Biden. Did vote for him. 68%. Stephen A. Smith's world right there. Hispanics, oye como va, 63% in 2020. Now, less than half. Less than half. And then the young people, who was basically the Biden's base, dude, he can't even pull 50% at this point.
Are you saying it's a done deal?
I'm just saying the numbers are trending the wrong freaking way. So get ready for two things.
You wouldn't do $1,000 bet today that Biden's going to win?
Hell no.
Okay.
I'll take the odds.
I think you were onto something. You didn't even realize what you were onto.
I'm onto it, baby.
No. When you were saying they're sticking with Biden, they're going with Biden. You're seeing these numbers. They're still sticking with Biden. They're ratting with Biden because of what I just told you. He's comfortable and he knows, Adam, those major swing states are all going to go. He's comfortable and they're backing him. They're not announcing anybody else. It's going to be him. You know why? Because the fix is in. All those illegals that have been coming all over the country, and I'm pretty sure people in the chat are like, you're delusional. I just read one. Guess what? I'm not delusional. They're voting without any ID. All they need is social security numbers. They're too calm. With those numbers, Adam, it should be abandoned ship, panic mode.
I hear
They're not going to change.
I hear you, and it's a legitimate concern, but those are on the individual states. That's not on the national electorate. That's on each of those states that have protections in place.
No, but this is
which I would hope in America that they have those. But that's on each state.
But Adam, when you see that 16 out of 50 states, you don't need a photo on your ID. That's the system.
Okay, I got an announcement to make. We got a lot of stuff that's going on. I got an announcement to make. Rob, if you want to have the fellas come in here. We have two Assyrian talented guys that reached out to Vinny on Manek. They sent a video for their interview, which was an incredible video with great work that they've done. They built a channel with 700,000 subs, bunch of videos with 20, 30, 40 million videos, and they're officially part of Valuetainment. Very proud to have signed these guys here with us. And I'll kind of give you an idea. They're leading the Future Looks Bright initiatives on making sure it increases the level of optimism of what direction we're going, because leaders exist out there that are doing great things. And this is the first video, just to kind of give you a highlight of what they'll be doing here soon. Vinny, maybe tell the story about what happened when they connected you, right? Because you got a Manek from them.
Yeah, so, and again, this goes to show how sick this app is. Instagram, it's too hard, bro. I mean, you get way more than me, but it's hundreds and hundreds of messages. I can't check them. These two freaking awesome Assyrian kids hit me up. They're like, Vincent, this is who we are. This is what we're doing. Here is a clip of them pitching themselves. We would love for you to see it to Pat. I looked at it. I saw it. No brainer. I sent it to Pat. And now, what, a month later, 2 months later, you guys are sitting here. Awesome. And guess what? Part of the VT team. Congratulations, bro.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Great to have you guys here. And so, Rob, if we can show the first clip, right? We have the first clip here to show. If you have it, go ahead. You're going to get a chance to get an idea what these guys do. Go ahead.
I saw this man pushing his wife on a wheelchair and his cart at the same time, and you won't believe what happens next.
Do you want to buy this lucky shirt for $1?
Give you $2.
You want to know why it's a lucky shirt?
Why?
Here, let me give this back to you.
Why?
Look, I got $200 here for you.
It's been a long years.
What's the hardest thing you've gone through?
Yeah, cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that. But you're doing amazing.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, God bless you. Okay. What's your name?
Roderick.
Roderick, I'm Nina.
It's 7 years. And I think she will not make it this year. I hope she'll make it.
Will the money help with any medical? What's your dream?
Well, she'll make it this year, December. It's her birthday. I don't know if
What's her name?
Marilyn.
I actually have some flowers. Do you mind if we give it to her?
No, go ahead.
Roger, here, you surprise her.
This is your flower.
Oh, man.
That's what you give your money. They give me all lucky shirt. We go to a doctor, we go to chemo, we go to everything.
That's awesome, guys.
Wow. Powerful, man. Unbelievable. So happy to have you guys.
Going to make us cry before lunch.
Can you say a couple words before we wrap up to introduce yourself? If you don't mind, you guys got to get down as well so they can see you. Go by Vinny so you can say a couple words.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having us, Patrick. And we're so happy to join the Valuetainment team. Yeah, I have the most amazing brother in the world. We started this journey a year ago. We just picked up a camera and started spreading kindness, not knowing where it's going to go. And then first video just went viral, and we just knew from God that this is our calling. So ever since then, we've been doing it consistently, and today here we are, very excited to change some lives and undervalue.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm so Rob. Is this another one?
Yeah. So that video got tens of millions of views worldwide, and then donations and money started coming in, and it allowed these guys to do this second video right
So
here.
it's the same guy.
For
okay,
Roderick?
go ahead.
$30,000.
Jesus.
Just a few days ago, I saw this man pushing his wife on a wheelchair, and you won't believe what happens next.
Do you want to buy this lucky shirt for $1?
Give you $2.
You want to know why it's a lucky shirt? I got $200 here for you.
It's been a long years.
He then explained that his wife has had cancer for 7 years, and when I asked what his dream was, this is what he said.
Well, she'll make it this year, December. It's her birthday. I don't know if
That's when over 1,700 of you donated, totaling in over $30,000. So we went to his house to give him the big news.
The love you have for your wife is absolutely amazing. Yeah, and this is your surprise. So,
VT. Oh, the VT logo. Look at that.
So, you now have over $30,000.
Sick.
For you too.
That is so awesome, man.
Oh my God.
My two guys.
Oh man.
Freaking Dude, that's freaking awesome, man.
Wow,
seriously.
sick.
So awesome.
Great job,
and there's
boys.
going to be many more of those things being done. Rob, if you can put the link for them to go to the channel, that will be great. We're going to post this video here momentarily on TikTok, Instagram, all over the place, Twitter. You'll see it. Excited. And we'll be updating everybody with all the different acts of kindness we do with our channel, The Future Looks Bright channel.
Nice.
Fellas.
Guys, you even have Rob Gargiulo crying over there in the corner over here.
Dude, by the way, I had to fight myself because I'm a comedian, not to cry. In my head, I'm like, they're probably gonna go to Vegas. And they're gonna I had to make it funny in my head because it was so freaking touching. What a photo video, man.
Awesome. Guys,
Welcome to the team,
welcome
boys.
on board.
Welcome.
Having said that, take care, everybody. Saturday podcast, I believe we got Jesse Waters.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
Bye.
Freaking
Thanks for making me cry before.
Okay, our guest today, Tina Glandian from, she's a partner at law firm Garrigus and Garrigus. I have to think about asparagus. Garrigus and Garrigus. And she's been a former lawyer to celebrities such as Mike Tyson, Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, Keisha, as well as Jussie Smollett, and now Andrew Tate. Tina, thank you so much for making the time.
Hi, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, we've been following the story very closely. Some of the audience that's here, let's assume they don't know and they haven't seen the other interviews you've done with other folks. We have followed it closely, but just to start off with an open-ended question, how are they doing right now? How are Andrew and Tristan doing right now?
So I spoke to Andrew yesterday, and, they're obviously beyond frustrated at the situation. However, one of the things that I think wasn't as widely covered as the fact that their detention was ordered continued for another 30 days is the fact that the two women that they were detained with and who've been in custody since the end of December alongside them, they were released under house arrest. So they are now home. And that was obviously, in our opinion, a big step in the right direction. And when I spoke to Andrew and I was trying to see how they're feeling after that result, because, 2 of the 4 got sent home under house arrest, his reaction was that if he had a choice and if he could decide which 2 of the 4 would get to go home, he would have had the women go home, because he said, obviously, jail is a really rough place. And he thought it was better that he and his brother suffer, if anybody has to, rather than the women.
Kudos to him for doing that. Now, here's a question for you. Are you representing all 4 or just the brothers?
Just the brothers.
Okay. So now, are you and their legal team working closely together? Is it a team or is it separately?
No, definitely. I'm working alongside the Romanian legal defense team because, again, I'm not a Romanian attorney. I can't appear before the court there. I attended the previous hearing and I was able to observe and be in the courtroom, at the table with my Romanian counsel, but I can't actually address the judges in Romania. So I'm working very closely with them. We're in constant communication and we are handling the defense together.
Got it. So the 2 girls, I believe Georgina and Luana, if I'm saying it correctly, right? Georgina and Luana. Georgina's known Tate for quite some time. Luana was a former police officer, and they were friends and associates working together. My question is, are their lawyers and you working together? Are you guys on the same team?
We're not necessarily working together. However, everybody pretty much has a consistent defense, which is nobody committed any crimes in this case.
Got it.
So to that extent, everyone has a common goal and interest in this case. However, we're not necessarily working together.
Okay, and the only reason I ask this, and so please push back anything I ask in skepticism, whatever I say. I'm just thinking like I've interviewed a lot of people that are in different lives they've lived. I've interviewed the Sammy the Bulls of the world, a lot of former mobsters, and the model the government will sometimes use when they have multiple folks that they're working on, they'll try to go to the weak ones to get information out of them and try to get a deal and say, hey, if you tell us this, it's going to be this. Do you want to be in jail forever? They'll put the fear tactic. The tactics they use. This is your world. So how confident are you that for the folks that are worried if they will keep the 4 fully united on the same page versus the government's going to try to get the girls to break and say something? So some may look at this as hey, they're now being released to go home. This could be seen as, did they do a deal with the government, or it's Andrew and Tristan saying, no, if anyone's going to go home, they're going to go home?
So 2 different things. First of all, I think absolutely it's a common, both a police and prosecution strategy to try to divide and conquer. I think how we refer to it here is they always try to get the weakest link to roll on, the bigger target. Mm-hmm. So absolutely, I would not be surprised if that's something that the prosecution intends or tries to do. However, we feel confident that there's nothing for these girls, short of if they were to decide to come forward and lie. Beyond that, we're not afraid of anything they would say, and we're not afraid of the police or prosecution exerting pressure, because we think, again, the truth is going to set everybody free, including the Tate brothers.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. My biggest concern is them trying to gamify it, and they try. Listen, Art of War, Sun Tzu, divide and conquer, put them against each other, put the fear tactic, and then eventually get them to open up, and then give them protection for a couple of years, and then you get the information. Can you release other people that we can get? So that's why I ask: are you guys working collectively together or not? Okay, so that was helpful. If you have a response.
Sure. If I could just interrupt
Please.
For 1 second, I was going to say there's also in this case voluminous, what we call documentary evidence, meaning text messages, written correspondence, and we think that speaks for itself. And
Sure.
when, again, unfortunately, I can't get into the details with you now the way I wish I could go through specific evidence and show why, this case immediately falls apart. But we think even in the worst case scenario, if somehow the prosecution got to the girls and got them to change their story and not be truthful, in exchange for some sort of deal to get them out of this, we think that the documentary evidence will undercut any, potential argument that the Tate brothers are guilty of any of the charges that they're being investigated for.
When you speak to Tate, and I don't know if you're going to answer this or not, is that a concern that the 2 girls may do something? Because if I'm an attorney, I'm going to ask the question. You can say no to all the answers, but I'm just going to do my job as a person asking questions. If I'm the attorney, I want to know everything about those two girls, what they have on you, what would they say, how would they come back, where would be their weak spot, is there anything that you're worried about, and then we're not worried about it, we are worried about it. Is that a potential concern at all, or no, that is the last thing we're concerned about?
Right now, that is the last thing we're concerned about. We believe everybody is just trying to get the truth out, and all four of them are, again, they have the same common interest in doing that when it's going to set all of them free.
My fear is government. I don't trust what they do to pin people against each other, so we'll see what they're going to be doing. So, okay, the next question for me would be with the following. You have a track record. You're very successful. The audience doesn't know this. You and I went to high school together, and we've never met. But,
just figured that out minutes before the interview.
Literally just figured this out minutes before the interview, yes, which was interesting. That's why when I looked at your last name, I said, that's an Armenian last name. And they say, no, you don't say Nalbandian. It's Nalbandian. I'm like, oh, okay, let me find that for myself. And then we figured that out. But, the cases you've worked out, these are not small cases. These are heavyweight cases. Whether it's Michael Jackson, whether it's Jussie, and that was very controversial, whether it's, the other ones, Brown or Keisha, all of these things we can go through. How different of a jurisdiction, I am not a lawyer, how different is it dealing with the laws that we go by in the States, let alone dealing with somebody that you're representing who's in Romania? Do you have to, are you working with their laws? Do they kind of push you around? Do you hold them accountable to you because there is the U.S. citizenship? How do those dynamics work?
Sure. So I think typically in high profile cases already there are so many additional factors that go into representing a client that isn't there in a standard case when the attorneys actually just get to focus on their defense, on the legal strategy, and it's very clear cut. And typically in those cases, the defendants also really are presumed innocent. So those cases are much easier to handle. The high profile cases to begin with, once information is, and it's almost exclusively leaked by the prosecution or the police, the information comes out, it's always out of context. The defense can't really respond to it as far as to address the details because there's an ongoing investigation. You're not supposed to be talking about those facts. So you're really at a disadvantage. And the public starts getting a false picture of what the case is about, what the evidence is. And so, already in a high profile case, you're dealing with the court of public opinion, everything that's coming out, combating the misinformation that's circulating. And so those are challenges. Now you add to that, all of this happening in a foreign jurisdiction. And yes, it makes it much more complicated. There's, difficulties. Like for now, I have not actually been able to visit the Tate brothers in jail. While I was in Bucharest, I went numerous times to the jail with my Romanian colleagues. We took all the paperwork. And I was told that it's ultimately the prosecutor's decision, and the prosecutor until now still hasn't approved the request. I mean, we're still trying, and hopefully I will get to see them. Of course, my preference would be to see them out of custody, but depending on the timing. However, it's difficult to, you're in a different time zone. All of the documents are in the Romanian language. So we have to have everything translated, or I'm relying on my Romanian counsel to interpret things for me. Their system is different. So it's, and the politics of it are different. So it's certainly very challenging.
Is that a protocol that the prosecutor can use according to the Romanian laws to not allow you to meet with your client? I mean, is that a common thing they do there? Or do you have leverage to say, no, I have to see my client. This is how the laws work?
So unfortunately, I don't think it's very common for U.S. attorneys, or I should say even attorneys who are not Romanian, to be trying to visit Romanian clients in jail. So it's not a common occurrence to begin with. And according to my Romanian counsel, they say this is how it works. It's standard. Now, if this was not the Tate brothers, would this have been approved by now? I'm not sure.
Does the role of I'll come back to that. So I guess my other question would be, when you were working with Jussie, and he was being accused, or the things that he was going through with what happened to him, I believe he was not in jail when he was going through it, right? I know the detention, and I may be wrong. The detention here, this is the third round of 30 days, and they can go up to 180 days. But there's still we still don't know fully what is going on. The key word that's being used is allegedly of human trafficking, allegedly of this. Once again, is this a common thing that Romania does as a government to say, whether we have you or not, you got to be in here? Some of the times people don't know. They live around the world. American laws are different than Romanian laws, are different than German or UK. So it's to understand how these things work. So the whole 180 days that they have would keep extending it at this pace. What are some of the criteria that you can use to get them to be at least at home while they're going through this?
So yes, this is very unusual for us because this is not how our system works here in the US. Typically, and it varies a little bit by jurisdiction, but typically they have 48 hours to, hold you before they either have to charge you or release you. Romania has a different procedure, and they refer to it as preventative arrest, where they initially held the Tate brothers for 24 hours, and then they applied for a 30-day extension. And as you correctly said, they can extend that up to 180 days. So this period is actually still an ongoing criminal investigation. So they have not actually had an indictment returned against them. They have not been formally charged. And again, this is really contrary to our notions of justice, which is that, pretrial deprivation is really to be a measure of last resort, unless there's substantial factors warranting keeping somebody in custody, that they should be out. And when you said allegedly is a word that you use even, after the charges are filed. Here, we're not even there yet. We're still in an open criminal investigation. Yeah. And so if that answers your question, I think the process is very different in Romania than we're used to here in the U.S. and I think a lot of other places.
How are you as the attorney adapting to that? I mean, are you, I bet this is a tough job you have. I mean, you went to school here, you went to great school, you've done phenomenal for yourself. So to learning how to work with the laws here to represent your client and then to go over there, are you like on a overdrive of learning all the laws and you're reading this and that to see what the adjustments are? Are you looking at all the cases? Is that kind of what you're going through as an individual?
Definitely. I'm doing a lot of research on how the Romanian process works, reading some of their cases and some decisions even by the European courts as to how they've applied Romanian law and whether they've sanctioned this type of conduct. I'm, of course, talking to my Romanian colleagues who are the best source of information as to what is common there. So there's a lot to take in. But obviously, when you asked how I'm dealing with it, for me, it's much easier to deal with as the attorney on the outside. It's much harder to see my clients who are in jail. And it makes my job a lot harder when I can't easily communicate with them. So that's the biggest, I think, factor here is the fact that I would have stayed in Bucharest had I been granted access to visit with them frequently. But that's been the biggest challenge for me so far.
If that happened in America, you could make calls to get Congress or somebody, a senator or a congressman or a congresswoman to make the call and say, what is this all about? You can't be doing this, right? So who can you call? Because the part that makes it complicated with this, if you have a political figure, let's just say you have a political figure, and if they're a Democrat, the president's Democrat, well, you make the phone call. Hey, listen, this is if you have a Republican, Trump saying, hey, Roger Stone, hey, you got this. What is going on over here? Can you guys make the call? This doesn't make any sense. Who can you call to say this is not a fair thing they're doing?
I mean, who I did call when I was in Bucharest was the U.S. Embassy to see if I could get assistance with this. But they pretty much just deferred me to my Romanian counsel and said I have to work with them and follow the procedure that they recommend. So ultimately, they weren't really much help in me trying to achieve that.
How much of that do you think is because him being a controversial figure and he's called out pretty much everybody under the sun? They tell you there's 3 things you should never talk about. 2 of them are politics and religion. And my mother would always say, hey, Patrick, why are you talking politics? I've told you for years, never talk politics, just talk business. Why are you the fear, right? He's called out everybody. Sure. So how much of that has to be with him calling out the people in power? They're like, if there's anybody we're not helping, we are definitely not helping Tate.
I would be guessing, but I certainly would think in a case that didn't involve maybe Andrew Tate, that the U.S. Embassy would have been more helpful when it involved a U.S. citizen.
Yeah, I would probably give the answer as well if I was in your situation. But for me and many other people that are listening, they would be thinking maybe there's some of that going on as well. Let me transition. I got the WhatsApp messages. I want to get to a part of that as well with the messages that came out. But the other question I would have for you is with them saying, hey, now that these messages have come out, we are thinking I'm going to be suing them for $300 million. I'm sure you saw that tweet that came out. I saw your answer on this, but some of the audience may not know about it. Are they actively, personally, do they have access to the internet? Are they tweeting, or is all the tweets that are coming out or the messages or the email that's coming out, it's somebody else emailing, tweeting on behalf of Tate?
It's not. Yes, they don't have access to Twitter or social media. So they're in a jail cell with very limited access to just phone calls that are all recorded. They don't have access to social media. So yes, they're not posting anything themselves.
Got it. You said phone calls that are all recorded. So whoever they have a call with, it's all recorded.
Yes.
And so even if you want to talk to your client, they're recording all the calls you're having with your client?
Yes. So as I said, it's very challenging to not be able to visit the client in person and to be, having limited communications, which of course, are recorded phone calls.
How do you strategize? How do you say, hey, because you need intel. So who do you get intel from to be able to defend? There's only so much you're going to get if you can't have and you can't ask the question if you know it's going to be recorded, because who do you trust? If you know the calls are being recorded, you almost can't trust having any conversations with them because it's all going to leak to somebody. How do you manage that?
We're aware of the fact that the calls are recorded, as are the clients, of course. And, at this point, the strategy really is just for us to try to get to the truth. And how do we find the truth? So it's obviously limiting, and we keep the conversations short and discuss what we need to, but it poses certainly a big challenge.
Tina, is that also the case in America? So if you want to talk to a client of yours and you're going to go and have a conversation with them, is it 100% recorded? You have to assume that everybody else can hear the conversation, or are you able to have one-on-one convo with your client without anybody hearing it?
So typically jail calls are always recorded. Now, when it's an attorney call and you announce that at the beginning of the call and you say, this is Tina Glandian, and this is an attorney-client phone conversation, they're either supposed to stop the recording, or later, if it was automatically recorded, they are not to listen to anything that's attorney-client. So even if that gets bypassed in some cases, they can't use it because they're not allowed to record the attorney-client communications. But it's not unusual because calls are also recorded here. However, when you get to visit in person in an attorney-client context, you should be in a setting that's not recorded.
Do you trust it in America? Like, is it even a thought? Like, do you guys as a group sit there and say, listen, ask the question, but make sure it's not all the questions. Just be aware that somebody could be listening to it. Or is it a code where it's like, no, talk freely. As long as you say it's a lawyer, you don't have anything to worry about?
No, we're always a little bit cautious because, again, rules get broken, and just because someone's not supposed to do something doesn't mean it won't happen. So we are cautious in all cases.
Sure. So, during COVID, I've run an insurance company. I've been in the financial industry for 20 years. So you're dealing with lawyers all the time. I've spent a lot of money on lawyers. So we've kept a lot of law firms in business because you have to deal with it. But during COVID, when we were dealing with lawyers or courts, everything was super slow. And I'm talking, hey, things that would get done in 30, 60, 90 days, 9 months to 12 months to get anything. They're not coming in. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And it was very annoying because you couldn't get things to be resolved quickly. Are you dealing with any other factors that is delaying you being able to get to the bottom of what's going on there? Or is it just purely the government saying, hey, this is how slow we're working. We can take our time if we want to, and there's nothing you can do about it?
With their procedure, with their preventative arrest procedure that they have in place, they certainly, have the protection that they could extend this to 180 days. And there really isn't much we can do if they continue to try to take the position that they shouldn't be released because, they might be a flight risk or they're a potential danger and things of that nature. So I do find normally that in high profile cases, because there are so many eyes on a case, typically those tend to move a bit faster than maybe a normal case would, that gets put on the back burner and nobody's in a rush to prosecute that. So typically they do move a little faster. Now, in this case, this has been an extremely slow investigation. So I know they've been in custody since the end of December, but what a lot of people might not recognize is this investigation actually started in April of 2022. And there was allegations made at the time. You know, police did a raid, they investigated, and there was nothing to those allegations. So, but they did open up, a bigger investigation. And another fact, because you did bring up the $300 million, you made some reference to a potential lawsuit about that. Mm-hmm. And so just to make this clear, what happened is after this investigation happened in April, and it was shown that the allegations were false and the police, made no arrests at the time, the Tate brothers actually filed criminal complaints in Romania against the two women who made these accusations. And again, that's not a fact that's been widely reported, but that is an open criminal investigation against the women. And that started, almost 8 months before the Tate brothers were ever arrested or, investigated really for any of the criminal accusations that they're currently being investigated for. So the lawsuit that you referenced and the cease and desist letter, that is part of that original criminal complaint that was initiated in April by the brothers when they were not charged or being investigated for anything further, and when they were the victims of false allegations and they were pursuing their legal rights.
And that was in April. So from April till February now, but they put him in jail. The timing of that, to me, there's a lot of theories out there, and I'll just pose the question. You're a pro. You're going to give whatever response you're going to give. Sometimes, certain events happen. It could be ironic. It could be like coincidental, or it could be like, it's a little bit. You kind of crossed the line with who you went after with the Greta Thunberg and all this other stuff, and here's what you did, and boom, and then all of a sudden 2 days. Could they have done what they did to the Tate brothers? What they did 2 days after Greta, could they have done the same exact thing and started detention in April, in May, in June? You know what I'm saying? Like, could they have just automatically said, hey, why not wait till this time? It just so happens they did it 2 days after that. So there's some theories where maybe he crossed the line a little bit. You're pushing a little bit too much of the envelope, and this is the time to take this guy down and silence him.
So I guess to break it down a little bit, what they were initially, the allegations that were made in April were that these women were being held against their will by the Tate brothers. And that was investigated, and that there was absolutely no truth to that. So they were not, their status when the investigation started of the Tate brothers were as witnesses. And so Romania has different categories that they put people in. You could either be a witness, a suspect, or a defendant. So they started in April. They were witnesses to this allegation. The police investigated. There was nothing there. And that's what the criminal complaints that they filed in April were about, those particular instances. Now, since that time, I think, police began to surveil the brothers and were, I think, trying to find something to further investigate. And again, I don't want to speculate as to the reasons why they were trying to, find further allegations to investigate. But the timing of it, yes, it's obviously, it was many, many months later. What may have triggered that particular date, it's hard to say.
So in other words, they could have done that earlier, right? So they could have, because if it's all allegedly human trafficking and rape, they could have done it in August. They could have done it in July. They could have done it in June. They just so happened to choose to do it 2 days after that. And I know that whole one thing where people were like, well, if you're going to order pizza, why would you put the pizza? That was already debunked, and that's not even a part of the conversation. If they wanted to get him, they're going to get him. It's not like they're going places they're not going, avoiding places. This is specific about the fact that could the government have come in and taken him to jail and put him in detention in any other month except the time that they did it at?
Yes, because again, this is preventative arrest. It's not like they had, enough evidence to charge them with crimes. This was a preventative arrest because they were investigating. They certainly could have done this, weeks earlier if that's what they chose to do.
So what that does is that gives a lot of credence to the audience that is saying this guy's being set up because of who he called out in the establishment. To that audience that goes, I told you so. I knew this. I know. Well, you're giving them credit if you're doing it this way. So I almost think I almost think that works against them and it works in your favor. Why are you waiting this long until you're doing X, Y, Z? Okay, so let's go to the next one, and then I got a couple other things here as well. So if there's anybody that has lived a life where they've lived a very interesting life, I don't think anybody can, dispute that. However many cars you got, all the women, the travel, the lifestyle, the yachts, the this, the that, the fighting. It's like the profile of a guy where a 16-year-old boy is going to look up and he's going, man, look at this guy. He's a tough guy. He knows how to fight against the girls. He's this, he's that. I'm going to be like this guy. I think the moment Tate started wearing glasses, I'd never seen a spike in more YouTubers wearing glasses when they're doing interviews in the middle of the day. And that never happened until this guy was wearing glasses, right? He made them look good. But mentally and emotionally tough, the life they've lived, the father they've had, the experiences they've had, it's almost like that's preparing you that if you do go through something like this, they can't break you. They're going to try to break you. How are they holding up purely mentally and emotionally? Themselves. I'm sure knowing him, how competitive he is and how annoyed he is and how much he likes to be in control. Like a lot of business CEOs, we understand that DNA and the fabric of wanting to be in control, and now you're not. So there's a part that's driving him insane, but also you see him when he's walking around, he's always got the Quran in his hand, so I'm assuming he's praying a lot, so he's trying to work on this. How do when you talk to them, how are you feeling their energy, their where they're at?
The energy is remarkably positive in light of where they're at and what they're going through. I think they just have tremendous resolve and strength, and that's both mental and physical and emotional strength. So I think they're doing the best they can in the situation they're in to stay physically strong. I know they're, continuing to exercise and work out and do what they can within the confines of being in jail, but to stay physically strong at the same time, as you said, they are praying, meditating. They receive a lot of letters and, fan mail. So they read those. It keeps them, occupied. So they are the one, they don't complain about boredom. It's more about just this intense frustration of having all of this going on. You're, proclaiming your innocence. You want to prove your innocence, and you are in a jail cell where you have no means to do so. So, you're putting a lot of trust, obviously, in your team and your attorneys, but it's very frustrating to be in that situation. I think, again, under the circumstances, I think they are holding up quite well, even though it's very challenging.
I bet, but again, I think if there's anybody that could do this, the two of the guys together. One time I think Tate said, "You can take everything away from me as long as you don't take my brother. I'm going to be okay." To the way the father raised to get these two guys to be as close as they are, that's probably giving them a lot of strength. By the way, are they in the same cell, or are they keeping them separate where they can't interact with each other or be around each other?
I know that they do interact. Okay. I'm not actually quite certain about the cell situation because I think that's changed, over the detention period. Got it.
So, this other question here, if back in the days when they went after Capone, or I've spent a lot of time with Rudy Giuliani, you know who he is, how he cleaned the streets in New York. The other day, we're at an Italian restaurant here in Florida. We're having lunch with, a couple folks. Rudy is there. The owner of the restaurant comes in and says, "Oh, my God, when I lived in New York, you cleaned up the streets." He automatically went to, when I was in New York, you cleaned up the streets, and how he was able to work with changing the laws to, figure out a way to how to go get them. And even back in the days, they didn't get Capone on anything but on taxes. So there's many ways if the government really wants to target somebody to ruin their lives, you got a lot of cards to use, right? You can do, let's use rape allegation. It's not hard to do. There's a lot of people that have been there that never committed a crime, but, you kind of have to, prove your argument. Hey, let's do trafficking. Hey, let's do taxes. Hey, let's do this. Do you think this is going to be one of those things that if they really want to target these guys, they're going to keep using their cards until they get them? Or is this truly they're only focused on these two allegations that they're making?
No, I think you raise a really good point, and I think that's exactly what's going on in this case. I think that's why this investigation initially started in April. They seized, a lot of their belongings, devices, things like that. And I think it's just been this very lengthy search for any evidence of crime. And I think as far as the actual charges that are being investigated, I think those are going to be proven demonstrably false. I think everything we've seen shows that the prosecution, it's such a stretch. They're trying to pigeonhole human trafficking into a set of facts that just, it doesn't fit. And again, the rape allegation is entirely unsupported. I think the evidence, which again, unfortunately, at this point in the proceedings, I just can't comment on, but I think there's damning evidence showing that these are not charges that would ever be proven. So I think the fear is, and also one other fact is, the other allegation is of an organized crime group, which includes the two women who were just released on house arrest, which I think, again, is a big, I guess it speaks a lot as to what the evidence is that during this investigation, now they've released the women on house arrest, the same women that are allegedly part of this organized criminal group. So I do not feel that they're ever going to be able to prove any of the charges that are currently being investigated. I just think they're using this preventative arrest to prolong their detention in hopes of actually being able to find evidence of crime, which they don't currently have.
Yeah, that's going to be the interesting part, because if they do that, it's targeting. You know it's targeting. Is there anybody that if, for example, I keep going political because Tate is political, and that's where you can do all the other stuff. It's one thing, but he calls out a lot of people that are not liking the call-outs that he makes. So when Trump's running and they had their RNC who they wanted to be at the RNC, well, Dana White spoke and he says, look, this is all I know about the guy. 20 years ago when nobody gave us a place to go and do our first event for UFC, he said yes. I'm going to back this guy up because Vegas said no, this said no, and he said yes. And he helped us stay in business. Okay. So that gets the audience of UFC to say, man, shoot, if Dana's defending Trump, maybe I ought to, right? Hey, Barack Obama. Hey, I'm Oprah Winfrey. Listen, this is the guy we've been looking for. We've been looking, okay, boom, support. You know what? If Oprah says it, I got to kind of support this. Hey, the other day, Oprah, hey, as much as I'm the one that found Dr. Oz, I'm not going to go against Dr. Oz for Dr. Oz. I'm going to go for Fetterman. I think Fetterman's better. People are like, wait a minute, that's your guy. But you're going, there's a lot of weight in who supports who and says what, right? Politically. How much, is there any other, because ever since, he spoke about his Muslim religion and videos were posted about him going out there and praying, and how he feels about the westernized, Christianity, the standards, all of that. Is there support from a sect or a community that has reached out to say, Tina, how can we help? We would like to get involved to help. Is there anything like that taking place, or is it silence? No one's saying anything. They're just kind of saying, well, let's see what happens here. We're going to keep our hands off of this.
There are many efforts by people who want to help. It hasn't really come from some sort of organized sect of anything like that. But we have so many individuals reaching out, offering support and help. And, I think it's a little tricky in cases like this where it is political, as you said, and people are like the Tates are very outspoken, particularly Andrew. I think sometimes there is, reluctance from people to publicly show support and to come out when they still do support the individuals. So I experienced this in Jussie's case, where he had a lot of support, a lot of people who would privately message him, I believe in you, I believe you. But those same people felt that in this climate, they couldn't come forward and publicly support him because of the tremendous backlash. Because again, there was this false narrative, and based on the information that was put forward by, the one-sided leaks and everything else, people believed a different set of facts than what the, actual facts were. And based on that, they didn't want to come out and support somebody who may have done what people were saying he did. So I think there's a lot of that in this case too, where there certainly is a lot of private support. Now, who would be willing to come forward publicly? I'm not sure, because I think there is a lot of backlash.
I bet there is. But maybe some need to see this and hear this to say, hey, we're going to come out and support. Maybe they need to hear this message and say, hey, let's make a phone call and offer what we can. I don't know what happens when they're freezing accounts, cars, taking stuff that, there's many ways. I interviewed F. Lee Bailey 10 years ago, and they took his license away as well. And F. Lee Bailey wrote one of the best books ever for lawyers. You know which one I'm talking about. It's like 2,000 pages.
The cross-examination.
Right. The legendary book that everybody talks about, which I haven't read because I'm not a lawyer, but I know you know which book I'm talking about. So, and they took his license. That's one way where when you're a lawyer for too long and you represent a lot of people and then you keep doing it and you're allowed, sometimes the way they do it is, hey, take this guy's license away. He can't make money. And then that's how they go broke. It's a sad situation on what they do. But in this instance, if they're freezing accounts, if they're freezing everything, maybe this is a way, and I don't know financial situation where are they able to make the payments to you? You're not a cheap lawyer. You're not somebody that's $400 an hour. That's a very expensive lawyer you are. So if somebody's hiring someone like you, are they able to meet their expenses that they're, having to pay today? Is that something that they're able to do, or are they frozen right now with their funds?
So they've seized a lot of assets, certainly not everything, but they have seized, a great amount of assets, which is vastly disproportionate to any sort of money that the government would need as a result of this investigation. So it is concerning, all the assets they've taken. And this, really comes back to why, they are in this prolonged detention. All of these things are being seized. That's putting a lot of pressure. I don't know if it's in the hopes that at some point they crack and confess to something they didn't do, but that's not going to happen. So,
yeah, I was watching an interview the other day with Musk, where Musk is like, he called out the SEC. I don't know if you've seen this clip or not. He says, he says what he says to the SEC. And he says, they called me and they said, you have to do this or else this or else that or else this. And he says, I agree, but let me tell you something, he took a shot at SEC right afterwards in the interview, and it's a public video going viral, where it's like, hey, you need to come out and say, yes, you did this, or you need to come out and say you did that. It'll be interesting to see, like you're saying, they're not going to break. These guys don't seem like the kind that they're going to be break, but I wonder, the government, people think they're so creative until you go into, you think criminals are the most creative people. People are a lot more creative in the government than they know, because they see all these cases. So they know how to maneuver with power that nobody else can. You can't go write a negative review about the government on Yelp. Oh my God, you can't do that. That's only in the free markets that we experience that. So the next thing I want to talk about is WhatsApp messages that came out. When you saw this was live, a lot of people reacted to it. A lot of people read them. A lot of people looked, oh my God, this is it. It's over. It's going to be done. You can't be doing something like this. What was your reaction when you first saw these WhatsApp messages of these two girls going back and forth? We got them, do this, I can't, and then we'll play the victim, all these things, we've all read them. What was your reaction when you saw this that was to the public? Is this a benefit for Tate that shows what they're doing, or was it kind of like, yeah, we're not even going to be using this?
So unfortunately, I'm really limited to addressing, potential evidence in the case. And so I cannot address that at this time, and I wish I could. But that's for a later discussion. For now, I have to be very careful about what I say as to matters that are still being investigated.
Fair enough. If the people haven't seen it, Rob, let's put a link below where they can go read it for themselves, the exchange. When you look at this, it definitely looks like, and I know you can't comment on this, I'm just telling the audience for them to, it definitely looks like they are framing, they are playing the game, they are talking to each other, play dumb, good advice, thank you, babe, all these weird things, play the victim. I mean, we are like, act like we still love them and stuff, blah, 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 all these things. Tomorrow we should wear makeup and sunglasses so nobody really notices. Yeah, I guess, LOL. We should make a movie out of this. So when you see this, I've seen the both sides of the argument on these tweets, on these exchanges, what people are saying that are saying, well, they're innocent, and I see the side where people are saying, well, they're guilty. They can make up their mind for themselves, but this definitely tells a lot here. So last but not least, Tina, before we wrap up, and once again, thank you so much for you being generous with your time. I know you're working on a lot of things, and you're probably not getting a lot of sleep because you're working with time zones. When we were going through doing a deal, and at the time we were in France, and we were selling one of our companies, and the people that we were doing business with were in San Francisco. That time zone messed us up. We try to have a good time, but we were nonstop, doing this, and we're trying to entertain people. It was kind of a weird place, so I appreciate you for being patient with your time. To wrap up here, any final thoughts on where you are with this, your level of optimism? Just a couple weeks ago, a tweet came out, oh my God, they're going to be free today. Oh, this thing's every day someone's saying they're going to be free today, they're going to be free today. With where you are today, what is your level of optimism of how this thing's going to end?
I have a great deal of optimism in where this will end as far as what's currently being investigated. Because again, there have been, what's really important in all this time that's passed, there has been no new evidence, no new alleged victims, nothing new to support this case. And clearly at this point, the evidence has not been strong enough for them to file charges against the brothers. So I think they're going to push this preventative arrest, because they can for now while they're looking for evidence. But everything I've seen, I think it is not going to be hard to disprove all of these allegations. So I'm very optimistic in the ultimate result of this case. Obviously, it's not as soon as we would like. Each day they're in custody, we feel like it's an injustice because they should be home. But the only other thing I want to add is that, you hear human trafficking, and that sounds awful, but this is just not a case of human trafficking. And again, without getting into the evidence, obviously it's difficult to explain really what I mean. But this, to emphasize, the webcam business is a legitimate business in Romania. Many women have come forward. There's articles you can read about why this is such a thriving business there. And this gives women there a means of making a lot more income. Some of the time women don't have the means or the education to make the kind of money that they could get from an industry like this. And, they're standard like any other job. They have set hours. They take royalties. They pay commissions to the business that they're dealing with. So this is not something unusual in Romania. It really is a legitimate, thriving business. And they are trying to take this legitimate business and criminalize it in this particular scenario. And I think it's going to ultimately fail.
Well, that's a playbook, that's the playbook is, hey, if we, just this question on what you just said, right? The curiosity. So if it wasn't illegitimate and it wasn't a crime to go to jail, can the government suddenly create a law and get it passed to be in, then to get someone where you're convicting them of a crime because the laws have changed today? Because that's what Giuliani did with the mob, and all of a sudden 240-something people went to jail on the same day. Can they do that, or that's not something they can do?
Typically, you can't enact, you could enact legislation, but it's on a moving forward basis. There's no, in a criminal context, there typically is no retroactive application. So if something had predated when the law changes, then you can't go back and say something you did, because, for a criminal charge, you need to have notice that the behavior is deemed to be criminal conduct.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's good to know, to see. Okay. And last but not least, to wrap up to the audience. So think about the audience that's watching this who doesn't like Andrew Tate. And think about the audience here that's watching this that loves Andrew Tate. And then there's some that are in the middle, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Is he guilty? Is he not? I'm just like some of the stuff he says, there's some stuff I don't agree with, but I'm more neutral. Similar to politics, left, right, middle, right? What would you say to the people? Like, what do the people who think this is somebody who is guilty, what should they go look at? Like, is there any articles? Is there any things to follow? What can they do? Because there are a lot of people screaming off the top of their lungs that these guys belong in jail for the rest of their lives, and there are those that are saying they don't on the opposite side, being very supportive about it. What do you say to the people saying, no, these guys are guilty, they need to be done, they need to go to jail and stay there forever?
2 points I want to make on that. First of all, I think people need to focus not on the content of their speech, whether they like or agree with what the brothers are saying. I think there's, some other critical things that you need to think about, which is the fact that, do we believe people should be detained when they haven't even been criminally charged? Is it right to keep someone in jail for several months when there is not enough evidence to charge them at the time? That's one thing. Second of all, do we want to start criminalizing speech? Are we putting people in jail so that we could try to reprogram them? I mean, that's not what our justice system is supposed to be. And so we're trying to keep the system accountable. And that's not, you don't put someone away, seize all their assets, try to get them to break so that they come out and they don't say the things they were previously saying. And I feel like that's something that seems to be happening in this case, because there's, a number of people who don't, or I should say a big portion of people who don't agree with their messaging. But that's something that should be addressed in a different way, not through the criminal justice system. That's not where you debate ideas, and it's not an appropriate use of the system. As far as what people could look at or read to learn more, I would just say that I think a lot of the things that Andrew says are taken out of context. I think you'll always see that one little phrase that says misogynist Andrew Tate believes women are property. And then if you actually sit down and watch his long form interview, he puts everything in context. And, he says, no, I believe women are equal. I think when I said that, what I meant was, in a religious way, the way somebody gives, the father gives away the bride. So, he'll explain a lot of what he means. And I think it makes a lot more sense when you hear his long format interviews rather than just hearing reading a headline or seeing one little clip of something he said taken out of context, which I don't think accurately reflects what his messaging is. And I think if you watch enough of his content, you realize that the overwhelming majority of the things he says are things that I don't think anybody disagrees with. I think it's all meant to be motivational, and it's trying to get young boys and men, but it applies equally also to women, just to be the best version of themselves and to work hard and to live their best life and not to be lazy. And, there's a lot of positive messaging that people relate to. And I think it's a very small fraction of the things he says that are controversial.
Makes sense. That was helpful. Tina, any major dates to look at? That's any event, any dates that are coming up, or nothing yet?
Yes. So Monday is actually a big day. Monday, we are going to be in court again in Romania for the appeal of the extension of the detention order as to the Tate brothers. So the lower court pretty much extended it. However, that decision is being appealed, and that'll be heard on Monday. And we're hopeful that on appeal, it gets reversed and they are released on house arrest as well.
That's great. That's great to know. I know many of us are following it very, very closely. Tina, once again, thank you for taking the time to coming out and giving us a bit of an update on what's going on. A lot of people are following this closely, and I can tell you if there's anything they could have done to make the persona even bigger than it already was, they just did that, because it's going to be interesting when he does come out, if the allegations, once everything is done with, and if he is freed, where he lives, how he changes his messaging, how much bigger he gets. Does he push back more? Does he challenge more? Maybe does he get on a spaceship with Elon Musk, go to a different planet and create his content from there so the jurisdictions are different? Who knows what's going to be happening? All I know is I appreciate you giving your perspective, and GHS got a shout out today. This is a very weird shout out today for Glendale High School out of all the high schools.
Right.
It's us and it's John Wayne, just so you know. John Wayne went to our high school as well. So anyways, Tina.
I hate that fun fact.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good one. Thank you,
Patrick. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.